UFO Twitter, who doesn't remember that, doesn't recall that. And then in that moment, like, Red, you could take it over. Like, things got a lot more complicated. It was a little bit more.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate too. That's when we really started looking at it, and that's when we realized like this has been going on for years. And like Deeper saw it happen to him in 2020, and we had a space where he was kind of telling us, and we had never really heard the details of his experience, and it was like cookie cutter, bar for bar, the exact same thing. Like probably Tupa could say, that Ashton could say has happened to them, that they've experienced. There's fabrications of like the most horrible things. They've accused Tupa of being a pedophile with his own child. They've accused Ashton and others. They do a tactic where they just look up somebody with the same name and then attribute that crime to the person. And one thing I want to reiterate for the room is like these tactics, and they get away with coaching it in drama, or like, you know what I mean? But these tactics go back to the 40s. You know, this is how they've discredited people since the beginning of the cover-up about any other thing not even related to UFOs. Like, this is just what they do. And now it's just online, and the person who does it is named Milk Fart. You know what I mean? But it's the same kind of tactics going on. Yeah, and so, and like that's why I kind of wanted to reach out to you guys both too, just in the event that, let's say, you were getting influenced, right? Like, people like go in on it and they don't even realize it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of why I did that thing. Sorry, Julian, I'm not trying to like bust you down or anything, but I saw a lot of people that I respected like retweeting your thing, who I know probably like, who I've never seen retweet you before. You know what I mean? And for Ashton's credit, like he had done like 20 or so podcasts ahead of that one that didn't really have any issues. So when I'm seeing like everyone kind of just go in on this, and even Tupa said, right, when you were watching the Lou reviews of it, it was just like a total flashback to Lou reviews kind of going in on your takedown, right, Tupa?
Yeah, that's the strange thing. I think one of the benefits that some of these trendsetters and influencers have early footing in UFO Twitter is that they can really execute some of these like things like very, very well, very, very effectively. And it makes you think that it's like a monoculture, right? That it's part of the culture. And you think like, oh, okay, so we all hate this person. Okay, well, all right, whatever. Let's make a meme. Oh, someone did make a meme. Okay, cool. Moving on. And then that's what, like, that just.
And what I want to add to
go ahead,
real quick, is what's helped us, right, is we kind of already had established reputations in ufology, right? And that's probably what helped John Greenwald and even Lou reviews. But Ashton is kind of like a total outsider. So he doesn't really have many people who's like, can be like, oh, yo, I've known Ashton and this isn't really like true about him. You know what I mean? He's like, it's very easy for people who are like outside like that, kind of like Moran Lerner, right? He didn't really have a built up reputation. So I feel like they were really able to paint certain narratives about people in that sense. So that's why I do feel like an extra sense of urgency to kind of combat this stuff that I'm seeing. I know the fake GoFundMe was fake. I know the fake rape accusations are totally fake, you know, and people won't take the time to like look into that, right? If like it's a monoculture spreading it. So that's just kind of where I'm coming from.
Well, it's also presented
swept up. Yeah,
it's presented in a way that like if you speak out about certain people, you're now speaking out against disclosure. You're now anti-disclosure.
How hard should I go on these guys' chat?
And it's a very strong thing to point. It's a strong finger to point at anyone that you want to kind of silence or get out of the mix. And you just see it happen over and over and over again. Then it becomes this thing, and it's the same exact style of stuff. It's like hazing, lies, accusations, and it just kind of repeats until that person's gone. And there's a gang of people that are just gone from a single person. And you watch like, well, how could that happen? How is that happening? Like, what's the process here? Like, and you look, oh, there's a support group, and then you interact with it, and you see like, oh, okay, well, you call somebody out, all of a sudden, like you get swarmed by like, you know, the next tier. They come in and they go, no, this guy's great. This guy's actually really cool. Why are you guys talking about this guy? Are you guys harassing him? Very strange behavior, very reminiscent.
And an easy way to kind of quantify it is they're acting just like Scientologists. I still think that we're going to find.
Oh no. Oh no. Whoops.
They're acting just like Scientologists. I still think that we're going to find out that all these people are Scientologists. But
I've never seen. regardless if they are, I mean, I have no idea, but
I removed my speakership.
The behavior is so suspicious. If you've ever seen any documentary on Scientology, you've ever seen a video of something called Fair Game, where someone is basically swarmed and harassed at an airport, swarmed at their house, all by people, and this is, now it's gone online. Now it goes into their Yelp, to their Facebook.
Yeah, the anonymous video is pretty sweet, man.
I mean, the amount of people who've been hacked after interacting with these people, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. Like, it just goes on and on. Like,
okay.
Starts talking about like every single person in my family, their criminal record, every single person. I mean, like, dude. Okay, so
they're sending photos of his brother's house to his brother.
Yeah, that's a strange thing.
I'm gonna eat while we listen for a bit. I'm gonna let them.
Weren't you like dead? Didn't like your mom post that you were dead or something?
Do their own thing.
Oh, so we're talking about every single thing like you could think of, and again, this is the only people I've ever heard report this type of treatment.
So if you want to catch up, they've been asking them whether or not they've been getting inadvertently used to try to bring me down.
I'm not claiming that they are. I'm just saying.
I can't wait to hear some of the answers. To be honest,
if you've ever seen any documentary about this, if you know who Leah Remini is, if you know who any of this stuff is, David Miscavige, like if you've ever seen any kind of documentary on this behavior, this cult-like, these harassment tactics, this fair game policy that they put on people, if it's not them, it's a play right out of the playbook.
Danny got just destroyed in the
released
comments.
a video
I
on
did not
this.
expect it to be that bad.
The language is identical.
But I warned him ahead of time that you shouldn't put any exposed stuff or whatever in the
online.
title,
Who
make it clickbait.
knowingly accuse somebody of rape online? Knowing
said he wouldn't, and he did.
And you look,
I didn't say anything about his stuff.
The only people I think.
Yeah, and they pay for websites too for people, right? So that's like a monthly fee that these people are, and they've made websites for multiple people.
And that's like buy my stolen hard drives.
Did they do that?
Yeah, that's what they're saying they are.
Yeah, so I guess we should maybe open it up now too, but to the guest, right? But that's a lot of like, I just wanted to make sure you guys know, kind of like, before anyone gets swept up. And I'm not even saying you did. Maybe you did actually see some behaviors from Ashton that you thought like
I'm not even gonna
needed to be called out or something.
I think honestly, I've seen Ashton interact with people. I saw his interviews with Julian and Danny. I've seen him present his ideas. Ashton, you're in the room. I've seen you do it. The passion is there. You know what I mean? Like the research is there.
The CIA hasn't spoken yet.
Or
I think Danny asked like some basic questions, but didn't say much. This is a weird space, man.
I can see people disagreeing with you
easily,
and I can see the way that you react to people being considered very combative and not helping with their impression of you whatsoever. So
but also I can see how
ways.
Getting hit from all sides can make people. We've seen how it makes people bitter. Look at Lou Reviews.
That's another thing.
We've done a good job of not becoming super bitter.
That's a great point. Like they isolate
chat?
things in a vacuum. They can never be connected. You can never be retaliating against 3 or 4 months of harassment where you're and threats and all this. That can never be in context for how you react, which is another step, right? Push. You push somebody over or whatever. Now you have a thing you can say. Now you have a huge, you have this line that they crossed, and nothing they did
14,000 views
can ever matter to it. Right? It's like it's bananas to do it in public in recorded spaces. In my opinion,
I want to hear Julian and Danny speak.
Strange things I've ever encountered. The straight up claim denial. I never did that. Then you played the clip.
They definitely overestimated the situation.
Like it's nothing to them. It's more of a game than reality. And playing with researchers in that way, I think, is very interesting.
Definitely
right? To come into a community
the reaction
where
that he got,
I'm kind of sensitive. A lot of the people in this community are reaching out, looking around for
the reason why Danny's in here is
to be consoled, but to share an experience.
It went so poorly
I came across so many people who are looking into this who've had an experience of their own, and now they're in a community with a bunch of people pretending to care, a bunch of people pretending to look into it as well. And really, what they're doing is engaging in strange narrative control, is what it looks like. To the degree where
can I play the thing clip real quick too? I'll play it after your thing, and then we could finish up too. But my bad.
No, that was perfect timing.
I have one thing to say also, which is just to let people know that I posted in the Nest. Basically, it's a guide that is supposedly a leaked document, unknown provenance, but pretty useful either way. That just kind of goes over some of the tactics that people will use to disrupt online.
Chat. I just haven't had a lot of time
so good things to look
busy.
out
But
also,
somebody
who's new to this, the one that freaked me out the most was Hey Ocean, who just I guess a little bit defended Tupa and then got a fake OnlyFans made of her and the police called on her and all this crazy shit. And honestly, it makes me nervous to talk in
debunk thing
spaces
from the
sometimes,
corridor crew
'cause
could
there's,
not
like,
have
a
gone
chilling
better.
effect to that
Like, I
kind of
need
thing.
clips from that.
So,
I
anyways,
gotta
that was
post clips from
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for that, Megan, and that's important, and that's what they want, right? They want people to be intimidated to not even
I
say
don't want to
anything
attack
because
Danny,
they know.
but
Because you're right,
he got
Hey
stump
Ocean
mocked a
doesn't
few
have a
times.
channel, doesn't do anything. She just didn't go along with Tuba's cancellation, and for like a year now, they've been throwing like all this different crazy stuff at her. And real quick before we go in,
Oh yeah,
here's
we're
Think
definitely
Tank,
playing this
who's
space
kind of
for
one of
everybody.
them, talking about specifically how they need to get rid of Ashton from these videos.
I just can't
So
wait.
it's only leading
I
to
want
a
to hear
bad place.
Julian's response.
Okay, plagiarized. Yeah, straight up. He's going, and now he's getting publicity. So I don't know if the followers are fake, but he's getting publicity. He's going on some pretty decent podcasts who are not doing their homework. So I think if there's one thing that we can do as a community is make it be known that Ashton does not own the MH370 topic.
Oh, TJ's on here?
And if it's real, and
this guy's from the Skinwalker Ranch.
The whole fucking video is fucked. Like, we'll never be able to get to the bottom of it because of him. So we have to separate Ashton from that video.
That's just my opinion. This space they got recorded on probably did more damage to the U.S. disinformation complex than any other space ever in history of the world. Getting them all admitting this.
So, and like I said, Danny,
wild.
Julian, thank you guys for being here. I don't want you guys to feel like you're on trial or anything like that. I just wanted you to know exactly.
To be honest, they kind of deserve to feel like they're
not
on
like
trial.
Any gotcha.
It would be pretty much
like
just.
If I don't know if you guys want to say anything about anything,
I think
I'm not going to be mean to them.
I think like that little education I got from Tupa last night on like how deep this Twitter shit goes was illuminating, and me and Julian don't know jack shit about Twitter. So like I guess some of these scumbags were in a room that Julian was in, and maybe Julian you can explain, but
oh, here we go.
Yeah, I don't know who any of these people are. I barely use Twitter like that. I think I've been in a space twice in my life. I use Twitter for news. I don't even tell my followers about my Twitter. As far as like on other platforms, I've never even advertised it. It's one social that's kind of like my own. So the last couple days, especially like vis-a-vis Danny talking with Tupa and getting all the background on this, this is
a lot of damage control, huh?
Shocking to me. I don't even know what to think, because I almost shouldn't have an opinion on the different parts of the communities within UFO Twitter, because I'm not a part of it. So I don't really have any room to talk with that, and I'll let you guys kind of handle that amongst yourselves. That definitely doesn't need my voice in it.
Then, so I guess for me, a question is just like, because I did like the interview, and I actually thought the interview wasn't as
he spent the whole last week defaming
me
with all these
gotcha as it was almost as it was like advertised. Probably in both cases.
His defamatory tweet about me has
like
like 300,000
Was there
views.
anything like going into it? Was it just his behavior you had seen, or like had people been telling you like, yo, this guy's like piece of shit, like da da da? I'm just curious.
Oh yeah, this is a good question.
No, and I mean we have Ashton right here, so this is the first time Ashton and I will have talked since 2 days after the interview. He did text me the other night.
Should I read Julian's text to everybody?
With Danny about something, and I was on the phone with Danny when that was happening, and we were kind of running through that. But no,
he doesn't want me to read this text.
I thought that there was going into it certainly a difficult case here. I felt that Ashton had done a lot of very impressive research on it. There's no doubt. I was very clear about my opinions on the videos, and I don't want to get into a whole rehashing of bullshit, but I have done this for like 4 years now. I've had a lot of people fly in from around the world to talk with me. I have loved every guest I had. I don't know what happened, but Ashton began defaming me publicly and privately in the days leading up to the episode.
Oh man, no, this isn't good, buddy.
Brought to my attention.
This isn't good.
Other people who were listening to him in spaces. I don't know if it was on other podcasts. I don't know if I heard anything about that, but I did hear some of the stuff he said in spaces.
Notice how he doesn't say anything about
Danny,
what it was, right?
Danny told me about that entire conversation when he got off the phone with him, and I didn't like the claims there. I did not appreciate the hotel claim. That left me livid. I'm sure Danny can back me up on that.
Yeah,
and
of
how
course
I
he's mad about the hotel. He didn't pay for it, man.
The very last thing I said to Ashton, and I wish I had my producer Alexi
I'm going to let him run
right
with
now,
it.
but he is not on
he's
Twitter.
Burying himself right now.
The very last thing I said to him before
he's burying himself.
Before Alexi took him to the hotel was, if you have any problems at the hotel, call me. He never did that. He never texted me. And Ashton, obviously you're listening to this, but I would be very, very suspicious of the idea that was your plan to use this as a chit against me. I did not. After you made that phone call on Saturday, I chose to give you the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, he won't go say that publicly. He never said a word to me about this. This is ridiculous. But then you did, and before that, you were saying a bunch of other things as well.
You thought I canceled the booking to make him look bad, guys. You thought I set him up?
Never, ever.
Imagine me and Julian Dory thinking that I set him up.
The first episode came out on Thursday, but I have.
You guys are so delusional, man.
That incensed with any guest in my life.
You set me up for a total.
By the way, the entire interview. Podcast. One thing I would like to clear up right now that he's
never done to any other guest before
is selective editing. That podcast was edited by Alessi Alaman, not by me. It was not selectively
he didn't edit it
in any way. We put the entire thing out there on Tuesday night. The podcast came out on Thursday. On Tuesday night, I did take back the intro, and I said I'm going to do the intro now because I was pissed. And so yes, the intro was harsh.
He did edit
in hindsight, if that was too much, I will accept that. But and that definitely set.
Honestly, the best I can do is just let Julian speak, man.
A lot more tense than it was.
Just not say anything.
Red.
The dude is.
But, I mean,
he's just fully self-destructing.
And Ashton, the way you handle yourself on Twitter, I was nice on the podcast when I gave that advice towards the end of the first episode. But the
I was
way
nice
you
giving you
unsolicited with anyone who questions anything,
I was nice
I
giving
think
you
is
unsolicited advice.
And for someone who wants to get to the truth, I've sat with a lot of people who would say the same thing, and I believe them a lot more than you because I don't think you have any ability to look at the idea that this case is in fact complicated and you don't have to be right about everything. I would have given you a ton of credit if you were wrong about a few things here and there and could just recognize it.
Guys, if I just admit that I'm wrong, then he would give me credit.
Every one of my guests who, by the way, have all gotten something.
This is like chronic online Redditor syndrome right now.
You chose not to go that route, and
chronic
you chose
online Redditor system.
And so
I chose violence, guys.
I
chose violence. Keep digging, Julian. Keep digging. Don't stop, guys.
And this has been
let him keep talking.
Just a complete annoyance. And you know what? I think something
you get what you asked for.
I think it's a giant cover-up.
You get what you asked for.
I think the U.S. was probably in some way involved with it. And so the funny part is, I'm with you on a lot of stuff here. But if you're going to behave the way you are, you're going to discredit all the great evidence that you have uncovered in this thing because no one's going to fucking listen to you and you're going to be talking to yourself.
Well, thanks for that response. And we'll get to Ashton right now. And yeah, that was one of the things that jumped out to me too, because like you guys both have had a lot of like conspiracy people on, right? Who I feel like probably some of the stuff they're saying is less evidence-backed than Ashton's kind of MH370 case he's building. So that was just something that stuck out to me. So for you, I guess it comes down to the interactions regarding the hotel, which I think would be good for the room to get both of your perspectives on that. We could get Ashton's take on that too, because I know that is kind of one of the things that's like out there. Like, did he steal a hotel or what?
Yeah, let's put a kibosh. It sounds like a miscommunication with that. But Ashton, please respond to this. And yeah, I mean,
do you guys look at my video feed? No,
in the best way possible. You know what I mean? Like, thank you, Julian, for sharing all that, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Julian, for being here. Thanks, Ashton, for being here. Thanks, Danny, for being here. It's obviously kind of like a little bit of a spicy combo, right? So hopefully we can continue and get some good information from everyone.
Oh yeah, hey guys, hey Julian, Danny, nice to see everybody out here, and nice to see you, Tupa and Red Panda. What allegation? The hotel. I mean, I don't even really care about paying for a hotel. I've been trying to get just the word out, right? So I've spent thousands of dollars just on MH370 stuff, on baggage fees, on hotels, Ubers, whatever. I've never asked for anything back in that respect. The reason why I didn't reach out after, I knew right away when they asked for my credit card that I was going to be the one paying. Of course, I didn't cancel a reservation, whatever. I think that it's extremely hypocritical to think that I was setting somebody else up after the hit job interview that I got from honestly one of the worst podcasts I've ever been on.
There was no hit job in that.
But that's okay. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, if I could.
So what I would say is that I clearly got put in like probably the crappiest hotel. I have a feeling that when you brought on like Michio Kaku, I have a feeling you didn't put him in the Econo Lodge. I'm just guessing. And so when I saw that, I was kind of replaying the interview over my head, and I realized that like this was clearly a situation where either you were had talked to some of the people related to these people who had been attacking me. You you reached out and told me that you had talked to James Fox ahead of time and told me that, you know, he believed that the videos were bullshit. And so I was replaying the whole situation through my head, and I realized that it was definitely a setup job, that you've never treated any guest like this ever. I was completely nice to you the whole time. There was no reason to be mean to me at all. Even afterwards, I was nice to you. And, you know, so from that perspective, like, I just figured that I don't care about the hotel. I'm paying for the hotel anyway. You know, I didn't want to talk to you anymore from that respect. So I just thought it was funny because I told you that I was going to have to come out against the false claims that you made about the witnesses and stuff. And you gave me permission in the text messages. So you shouldn't have been surprised by my message that I came out, you know, and I mentioned that you talked to Jim DiOrio, who you decided to put on speakerphone in front of me, who's a literal spook. And I'm literally revealing the largest conspiracy of all time. So everything I said was just factual.
Come on.
You know, and so I honestly,
the largest conspiracy of all time, Ashton. Do you hear how you say things? Do you hear yourself?
The last thing I would say, man, is that you're probably the last person on the planet that should give anybody else advice, or unsolicited advice, especially about your interactions on social media. You know, if you want to delete your video like that, I'm just giving you free advice right now. Is that I would delete the cringe video that you made about me. Like, it doesn't make you look good. I think in your mind you think it does, but I don't know, man. That's just my advice. So I think that should settle that. I was honest. I didn't cancel the reservation or anything like that. I think that a good person in that situation would have, if I was you, I would have just apologized and said, I'll give you the money for the hotel. That would have made you look really good. Coming out and making a video and saying that I didn't pay for it, or that I like canceled the reservation, like, it just looks petty, man. That's all.
Real quick, if I could, Ashton, you and I have always got along, right? I never had a negative interaction with you, but I have heard a lot from people I trust and know and have known for a long time, who say, like, fuck, dude, this guy's difficult. You know what I mean? And this, I will say this, your candor here, you know, and I mean this in all honesty, I can see what people are talking about, right? And I just want to ask, like, also, and you did, I don't know how I heard about the hotel the first time, but it might have been from a tweet from you, and it sounded like it kind of was a big deal, and it became like part of it. So I can see how that kind of stuff is petty, but it, you know, it was put forth and played upon by both parties, and it became like a distracting point to the whole situation. That's my perspective. And so I think both.
But that seems intentional to me, right?
Yeah, and you can see why, like, like I literally put it in the footnote, and then of course instead of addressing all the other stuff I mentioned, it's like, oh yes, I paid for the hotel, and then when he found out he didn't really pay for it, instead of retracting it, right? Like you should have, like somebody would, you know, and made it all about that.
Okay, so but you're combining that with a lot of other factors, right? Which sounds, and I want to ask this question. Julian did say that in the interview or the pre-interview that you guys had talked for a while before the show started, and in that time, you guys bumped heads. What was the vibe at that time?
Yeah, actually,
let's hear it from Julian.
Do you remember what you said to me right before we went on camera? And it's not going to come.
No, go ahead. I want to know what
you just said in the last one.
I want to know what bugged you.
So when Alessi picked you up from the airport, Alessi's my producer, everyone, who's the other guy on camera for everyone else out there. When he picked you up from the airport, as he told me, he told you all about in the car how he was down in Brazil in 2021 making the Moment of Contact documentary with James Fox, and how we're both friends with him. We then discussed James Fox in our conversations leading up to the podcast. You knew very well we were both clear friends. And so in an effort to not be gotcha, to be right there and upfront and honest with you, right before we went on camera, I said, okay, I am going to start off this podcast with a little monologue where I'm going to do two things. I am going to rehash the very basics of the case to bring people up to speed so they can follow along.
I'm still listening.
And then I'm going to give you my stance. And it's just my stance. I'm being honest, just as Red Panda was honest in the beginning of this space about his thoughts on the video. Red, that's exactly what I did with Ashton. I said, I do think the videos are fake. And I said, I did give my friend James Fox a call this morning, and he did think the videos are fake. And I'm going to include that in the monologue. And you looked away like a scorned little person and were like, well, James Fox is a fucking idiot. James obviously picked his team in this race. And you know what? It's a shame that he did that, but we don't need him. We're going to prove this all without him, and he can say whatever he wants. And it was the tone of it was so dismissive and arrogant and off-putting that even Alessi, who is probably the nicest kid I've ever met in my life, was looking at you like, do you have any self-awareness? Like, you don't have to agree with James. That was never the thought. I had no problem with that.
So much about what people think about them.
I disagree with James on things too. Go watch my podcast with him. which obviously you hadn't watched any
so
of my
much about what people think.
You had
know,
no idea, my style or anything like that. Any guests I told you about, you didn't.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make friends, guys. I'm trying to unveil the biggest conspiracy of all time.
That did.
That's
make
it,
me
right? I'm just
but
honest
if you
and
look
open.
at it and you remove the intro from that episode that we put on there, which was from by far the most butting heads moment of the entire 6 hours we were together.
So I'm difficult because I told him
trying to go
that
get you.
James Fox
to help you
just trying to help me, guys.
And when you would dig your feet in and say phrases like, "I found this person highly credible, and according to my investigation," and
it's
then
so personal
when I would
for him,
present,
dude.
like, "Hey, maybe you should
Why
think about
so
this again,"
personal for him,
you
dude?
could not admit that you were off. In fact, you couldn't even do it in the text messages after
why
the
is it all
podcast
100%
2 days
projection
later,
with these guys?
when you sent me an article that quite literally rephrased my argument as if I had written it, thinking it was going to defend yourself. And it's funny, that was the last time you didn't really answer me again after I pointed that out. Like,
Can I put in here real quick?
I don't know what you want.
Dude.
Go ahead,
butt in. So
upset. Thanks, Julian. And not to
these guys are
absolve like what Ashton said, right? Like, if that's your friend, right? Like, if somebody's like, "Fuck that guy,"
upset.
like, yeah,
it's like
but
it's like a popularity contest for them,
your
right?
convos with James kind of helped format your thoughts on the case.
He brings up James Fox
ahead of time.
Tells
like
me
if
how
you
fake
had
it is. Like, why would he even tell me that?
Why
would he even tell me that?
To be clear, I already thought that they weren't real. That was my.
He was already into it. He already knew.
I simply said that I was going to mention that with James again. James is a highly credible guy in the space.
James Fox is a highly credible guy. Everybody.
And I let Ashton know.
He does third-party alien interviews in South Africa and South America.
Whatsoever.
Yeah, let him just.
I'm going to ask
Ashton
honestly,
I just want to let him keep going. I don't even want to.
Have you?
I just want to listen.
Since you started talking
so
about
personal, dude.
What has your experience been? Are you on edge for any reason? I mean, when you called that out with Julian, did you have reason to believe? Do you have experience with this type of behavior? Where have you seen it before? Let us know why. You know what I mean? What's your take on this? Like, it sounds like you're very defensive. As if you come up against people who do work in this fashion. I know that you were on Reddit. Your subreddit got deleted. I don't know if it was yours, but the subreddit got deleted. Why are you so on edge? And if that's only if my read is correct here.
No, I'm not on edge. I hope I don't sound on edge. Honestly, I don't care, and I have nothing against these guys either. Even though I definitely feel like it was a little bit. Both interviews felt like a setup for sure. And if anybody's got taking it personally, it's definitely not me. I actually remember the James Fox comment, which is like, why would you even bring that comment up? Who cares what James Fox thinks? Like, oh, I'm best friends with James Fox, and he thinks these videos are totally fake. That's pretty much what he said. So it's like, and I of course I'm dismissive of it because James Fox doesn't know shit. He doesn't know anything about the case. He was one of the first people to chime in and say it looked as fake as a $3 bill. So like, why would you poison the well like that right away? So,
well, he's a credible name.
But is that really the?
Is that? Do you hear the arrogance with what you just
Ashton,
said?
he's
amazing.
Ashton, he's a credible name. Now, why do you think he doesn't?
So you guys care so much about popularity. That's
I
guess that's what upsets you guys. Like, I don't care about that. I'm honest about that. Like, let me just talk real quick. Like,
James Fox has been making these documentaries since he was like 30 years old.
21.
Yeah. Okay, man.
I
21. There you go. Literally,
go ahead,
the guy's like 100 years
old. As a filmmaker, videographer, I would have learned a lot if I was in James's shoes working on those pieces alone. Let alone what I probably would do on my own time. So I think a lot of people in the community kind of impressed with what he's done because he's not just a figure with the crazy haircut.
I think it's funny these people like
ufologists, believe it or not. You know what I mean? He does put the work out. And it's very respected, right? So I think a lot of people would find
CAA. You're that troll from the other chat, from Danny's stream.
But I'll also add though to James Fox.
You got a dose of reality today, huh?
He did help.
Turns out that the world's not like Reddit.
Thomas Fessler, who's one of these other guys, like False DMCA, a documentary that was made against Lou Elizondo. So it's like he already has kind of had ties with this kind of greater narrative control. You know what I mean? So that's why when I heard that name, I was kind of like, that is an interesting name to hear.
They care so much.
You know what I mean? And I'm not shocked. I wish I was shocked, but it's already come up in this whole kind of greater narrative control takedown thing we've been seeing going on.
They're talking like James Fox showed aliens
in
a movie or something. Like he's got so much credibility. He made a bunch of movies or something. I can easily see someone
reaching out to James Fox.
Yeah, the James Fox.
Like, yo, someone who featured parts of your film here.
He's about to get canceled for.
Boom. Like, can you should probably strike.
And I totally agree. And that's what I want to reiterate too. They get good people to do what they think are the right thing.
I just don't care at all.
Based on how it's framed. You know, I'm sure James
But
Fox
you're gonna have to
how he
deal
speaks,
with
guys.
Manny and his girlfriend.
I hate the arrogance
Like,
of how he
help
speaks.
Thomas best way.
Like help me walk me
food.
through like how, because he's a smart guy, right? How could someone like that be like, you know, manipulated or like, you know, accidentally used in such a way? Like,
I thought they wanted to ask me a question.
I would need to find a little bit more to see that, but I do believe here in this situation, right? Like, probably not a great jumping off point for the interview, right? To say this guy doesn't believe you.
Oh no, this isn't going to be about evidence, friends.
You gotta
this is about
that's going to cause
hurt
a lot
feelings.
of people.
This is an episode of OC right now, guys.
A lot of arguments, right? I mean, you can see that just by shitting on it.
But in the context, the other way too, though, right?
Like, I liked James Fox too before he
these guys had on
decided
where James Fox didn't really
dismiss the videos without
seed a negative vibe on the case, or you know what I mean. Some of the people
I found out he was connected,
and not
to
to knock anyone, but like we're talking about like remote viewing, we're talking about Havana syndrome.
Then I lost all
we're talking about a lot of like.
Also, his weird video about him being a victim or whatever of like getting his career taken away was really bizarre.
Keep it all on the table to look into. I'm just saying, like, you know, I'm just reading this, kind of seeing some of this for the first time. Real quick, Ashton, feel free to reply, but I do want to welcome TJ Allard to the space. For those who don't know TJ, he's the producer of Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. Welcome to the show, man. Glad you're
here. Thanks. This has been an amazing, like, just listening to this. TJ. This has been one of the troubled areas of this, the whole UFO Twitter world, I guess, where these cults of personality just kind of crop up.
Cults of personality I'm literally not in part of UFO Twitter, guys.
Weeks back.
His arrogance. Do you hear his arrogance, y'all? He's just
but it's
so angry, dude.
The fake explosion, there's just a lot of fake footage, and it's just objectively fake. And I just watching this kind of take a life of its own on.
TJ's got issues.
No evidence of anything still to this day. The only evidence we have is there's
TJ of Skinwalker Ranch,
and that's it.
Talking about what evidence we have.
We don't know anything else. Everything else is speculative. And Ashton's admitted that. Like, he doesn't know either. No one knows, right? But it would just be nice to hear people say they don't know.
This is the producer of Skinwalker Ranch,
so
guys.
I deal in this space.
Producer of Skinwalker Ranch, talking about evidence.
I look for these types of stories and talk to hundreds of people.
So cringe. Holy shit.
In this kind of realm.
Oh, he talks to hundreds of people. No evidence.
This is just too many red flags, right? So I walked away from this early on.
Walked away from this. We didn't let him get involved because he tried to make it all about himself on his space. This TJ guy's a freaking joke, guys.
And I still think this is an interesting story.
Wow.
I'm not sure what the story is anymore. I feel like we're watching
He's making it all about himself right now, dude. I'm gonna tear this guy down in front of you guys here.
Be created right in front of our eyes, where there's no evidence.
This is so dumb, dude.
People are putting these dots together that there is, and it's fascinating to me. And this guy, Ashton's done incredible work, man. I mean, like, I have never seen this kind of
it's so personal, man.
To the point where you're
so
like,
personal.
My God, dude. Like, kudos to him, and the marketing campaign.
Sorry, I don't have the credibility of Skinwalker Ranch, guys.
Appeared on everyone's timeline all of a sudden, all at once.
When you say work, are you only referring to the marketing, or are you referring to some of the research and like what are you referring to?
I mean, well, there's both.
He's still trying to make it all about himself.
The marketing part of it.
Do you have to listen to this guy?
Whatever.
Why is this guy on here?
That's beyond me.
Yeah, the cult of personality. Hey guys, go cult of personality, and don't forget to watch Skinwalker Ranch.
Anyone can pull information off the internet and put them together and make.
No, I want to listen to this. This is gonna be fun.
But the one thing, the through line in this whole project.
These guys just keep hanging themselves, man.
Evidence.
They think that like normal people think like they do, right?
I still don't know what we're talking
about. And
so
you're not counting the videos as possible evidence.
No, they're evidence of what? Of a plane flying.
All right.
That's it. I mean, anything else past that is complete conjecture. Like, it's completely.
This is coming from that guy who does Skinwalker Ranch, everybody.
Correct.
TJ, I agree.
So that's kind of,
you're the voice of reason.
This guy does Skinwalker Ranch, everybody.
I'm just saying, like,
real quick. I think I'll play this audio.
I'm a data scientist.
Here's
a
Sean
data
Cahill's
scientist.
thoughts on the videos.
It's so funny, dude. This shit is cracking me up.
Might not agree with everything along the way.
I think these guys like just live in a different world,
and
man.
my question kind of leans into
these
that.
Guys live in a different world.
Because you were in the Navy from what, 95 to 2015 is what it says online. Is that accurate?
No, this is just straight up entertainment, man.
Cool. Thank you for your service. And then me and a bunch of other people.
Guys, I do Skinwalker Ranch. I'm the voice of data scientists and credibility.
MH370
TJ Allard, everybody.
And I'm curious about your take on the disappearance of the plane.
We did a space with TJ Allard, and he tried to take up the space for over an hour.
The emergence of these videos that were posted in 2014.
So, thank you. Yeah. So
I've been involved in search and rescue before.
He made it all about himself for an hour on one of my spaces, and I told my buddy Mellow Demon that he's not allowed to do that anymore.
It's a scary
Skinwalker's hard evidence, everybody.
We lost someone in the Persian Gulf over the side. And one thing that was amazing was to see almost every maritime force in the AOR in the area of responsibility, which was
Skinwalker Ranch. He wants us to do a video like Skinwalker Ranch. That'll bring a lot of credibility to the case.
And go into search and rescue. So we're talking Iranian, Navy, IRGCN, which is their hokey Coast Guard that messes with us all the time. Qataris, Emiratis, you name it. Anybody that had a boat was helping us, and it was amazing.
They're not saying anything.
So moving to, I can never MH. What was the hell designation again? MH70. I can say 370. Right. So that whole thing is obviously it's a mystery. Okay, and the search and rescue efforts were incredibly disappointing. I think all of us thought that our technology and our surveillance capability should have been able to pinpoint that and give the family some solace. And I think that we also know that it seems that the United States government's reticence to share their technological abilities may have
it's like some producer on Skinwalker Ranch or something.
Beyond that, get into the meat of what you're talking about.
Next up, the guy from Finding Bigfoot.
And I'm open to hearing
when we want to talk about credibility.
Research. I took a detour off of that because I wasn't able to.
He said there was no evidence.
That the data we were looking at was from
He said there was no evidence of our case. Has he looked at the pin profile?
That are in the,
no evidence?
In the mix. So I kind of got off the freeway.
This is more evidence than any court case in the history of the world.
I looked at those videos. And I analyzed them in the manner that I'm able to with the technology I have, and I did find some very interesting things going on with temperature. I thought that if it was edited in CGI, someone was very knowledgeable and had read a lot of the dirds.
Should I grill Danny and Julian and the Porter crew?
So I find it very confusing.
Major Studio is going to make the videos. Oh yeah, that didn't happen.
Cool. So the reason I show that is because that's Sean Cahill. And if anyone doesn't know, he's definitely in the loot camp. And I don't want to attribute like all the hate group stuff to him. I think there's very clear lines connecting like Milpart Elizondo. I'm not saying that's
the more attacks they put on us,
but that is definitely
higher our credibility goes up.
Second, like right-hand man, right? Do you back me up on that?
Yeah, they're very close, but that's a good segue. Earlier today when we were talking about this kind of the harassment, the hate group, this crazy amount of narrative control. I did see TJ throwing up some hundreds, and I kind of want to double back to that because this MH370, it's a highly debated topic, right? And
I still don't see why though, Tuba. I just don't get it. And
no, that's great. Well, honestly,
I don't get it. Why is he here then? Why is TJ Allen
Someone told me that someone watched that video.
Why is he here?
Was like, oh, I believe it. I'd be like, well, great. I don't trust
right. Like it's not. This isn't about. This space isn't about him.
Like, that's a crazy.
Why is this guy even here?
If I'm gonna believe that, I need a bunch of other evidence. I need to see how it kind of. I need to read.
He talks about cults of personality. Like, why are you even on the speaker panel, dude?
And honestly, that's where
I doesn't have anything to do with him
in this at all. Is that the weird happenings keep on coming when it comes down to this case. The videos themselves, I'm not a video analyst. I'm not a forensic video analyst. I've never seen a video from a drone or a satellite. I don't know.
Yeah, just let these guys
I played that clip to show that the people trying to take down Ashton, they think the video is real. And like the Lou crew thinks it's real. Cahill's opinions on that, I think, are totally influenced by Elizondo. And he didn't come out and say like, "Oh, that's fake as fuck."
Who's saying the videos are
you know what I mean?
They can be real, right? These videos can be actual.
Now they're real
of a plane.
Now this guy's all over the place, dude.
And that part of it, that's nonsense.
This guy's all over.
Out of context videos. Okay,
this is coming from the guy who talks about portals and Skinwalker Ranch.
Match these clips, and we don't have.
This is coming from the guy who they talk about portals and Skinwalker Ranch
that are so accurate that it's like. Oh
this guy thinks that we're looking at a VFX from '90s.
The design of back in the 90s is almost like something.
Exactly. Fair though, have you read the debunk of that?
Hold on, I don't do it. I want to put a pin on this MH370 stuff. I would love to get some more experience.
He's done this for too long, everybody.
Drone knowledge and anything. But for now, I do want to double back.
He's done this for too long, dude.
It's funny when you have a guy who's done this for 3 months, trying to tell people who've done this.
He's so angry.
What isn't real. I just find that really
interesting. Well, I think you should just at least understand the rebound.
That's amazing. I'm enjoying this. So I want to say something real quick too, but to reference to what we said before.
Just gone off the deep end, man.
Yeah, that's me. I'm just gonna let you guys hang yourselves. On the other side, though, I just want to mention that like I've been clear that I don't respect expertise, and there's no such thing as I've been doing this for so long. Therefore, what I say is true. The reality is that what you say is determined, your credibility is determined by what you say, the facts and evidence you present. I've got 12 pages of evidence pinned to my profile, which TJ, you might want to take a look at.
And which, admittedly, TJ, you didn't read the rebunk. I feel like at least you should know the rebunk in and out if you're
What's
gonna
the
like.
evidence of though here? Can somebody tell me? Is there supporting
It's
evidence?
not about you, bud. It's not about you, man. And you produce a show called Skinwalker Ranch where you deal with
see the language you're using, Ashton? Do you see
guys,
the
I'm not
language
here to
you're
make
using
friends
when
with
you
people
talk to
either,
people?
and I'm not.
But
Julian,
but
you care
Ashton,
so much about what people think of you, man. Just you got to get over that, my dude.
No, I don't. Do you hear the arrogance in your voice? You are one of the most arrogant people I've ever met in my life. You are so fucking smart, man. You are not a dumb guy.
Dude.
That's the worst part about this. You have a brain up there. This
so
is not
offended.
like, oh, this guy's an idiot. You are a very smart guy.
I've never seen someone
arrogance,
get this
I don't know what happened to your life,
dude.
man, but I'm sorry that happened to you. Because the arrogance that you speak to people with and the way that you dismiss people is so upsetting. It's horrible.
It hurt my feelings. It hurt my feelings.
Get to some hands. Let's get to Darcy and then Randy.
They're so mad, dude.
All right, hey guys. Hello, everyone out there on the Twitter space. Couple things. So I just want to say,
you get so triggered.
I've spoken to Ashton directly on, through DMs, and I'm curious about this video too. I have been since the start, and I was working on building a chronological history of what's going on in terms of the story. But like Ashton, this is not to slight you. This is just straight up feedback.
Yeah, this is great.
When you come in to a UFO
I didn't ask for anyone's
space
feedback.
And you say you don't want to be related to UFO people,
I still don't want to be related to UFO people.
Be associated
of why I don't want to be
with
associated
UFO people. And these are UFO videos, clearly. We don't know 100% if it's just a straight up hoax UFO video or if it's a, what you're assuming is American tech. But it's a bit of a bull in a china shop approach where you're going to attract negative attention when you say that. And these videos started as UFO videos back in 2014, man.
It's too entertaining for me, dude. Yeah, this is for middle school.
Who cared about this? It had no American tech psyop attachment to it until this year. So that's one thing. The other thing is, Panda, I appreciate you, but when you listen to the Sean Cahill clip, which you recorded,
massive cognitive dissonance.
It can seem a bit like confirmation bias because he says the videos confused him. It doesn't mean that he agrees that they're legit. You have to listen to everything he says, not just
I want to listen to somebody who's not silly.
No, I get that. And he said that if they were CGI, the person would have had knowledge of the dirts, which I think is important. Like he's kind of saying if it was they would have known. Which I think is important. And something else I wanted to say real quick for the room.
They're mad because I don't agree with them, right? Like,
to me,
the way this works
is
if I don't agree with them, then I must have a mental problem, right? Like, it's
dropping
classic
his
gaslighting
video.
It's
or
classic
last year
Redditor syndrome.
VP Media UK
it's classic perpetually online disorder.
Dropped the Calvine photo.
Yeah, I dropped the evidence with too much arrogance.
Ashton, and he's put in a lot of work, is just kind of telling of something. Like, he's very clearly been targeted by this group that targets people.
I don't care about being targeted by people.
I just think that's worth noting. Is just
you arrogant, intelligent.
Really,
person.
at the end of the day, him in this case is no different. Or even Skinwalker Ranch in a Skinwalker Ranch video.
Should I tell them to watch my stream later?
You know what I mean?
No, there's something there's something patently different here, and it's like
Skinwalker Ranch guy. Why is he even here, dude?
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry.
Why is TJ even on this panel, dude?
Here's the issue.
He's just so that he talks.
Ashton might be a dick, but his research is his research. The numbers are there. The research is there to look through, to debate on it.
Yeah,
that's the one good thing about it.
These guys are just super emotional.
Ashton doesn't represent those facts. His
what they don't realize, like, normal people resonate with just
who's been disagreeable,
facts,
hard to get along with,
right?
Downright combative. Read a book about any genius. Read a book about anyone.
Jack Sarfati.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Jack Sarfati is a really good example.
Yeah, it's classic cognitive dissonance. Well, not so much cognitive dissonance, but projection.
It's a great example, right?
Well, maybe that's, I don't know.
Ashton's done enough.
Oh, that was on Danny's podcast too, right?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Ashton, I think, has done enough work that I can sink my teeth into the work itself, and that's a good thing. He's not saying,
they're
"Follow
me.
For I'm the only person who could ever know this." He's
very emotional in here
for us to say bullshit or not, or research or not, and that's the good thing. But not a great salesman.
Sorry,
hard
guys.
To get along with. I've seen it myself here, and that's not a.
We got 300 people listening right now.
At you, dude. That's just the facts, right? You know that, like, straight up calling somebody, these figures.
Wait, am I co-host?
Even if you think they're nothing, like, say it, and then.
Well, I'll add to what Darcy said though too, right?
So angry, dude.
Like, I feel like Ashton came on the scene and was trying to get help from people, like was trying to get help from Greenwald about FOIA, and he kind of just got like shit on. So he's kind of got this like "fuck you all" mentality.
Well, this is an interesting fact.
That's not true.
Greenwald shits on everybody.
I don't think about Greenwald.
I get it.
But
what clouds this is that there's a mixture of people responding naturally to Ashton.
Yeah, they're being left behind.
Boo-hoo. Right, kind of like
they should have jumped on it, man. They wanted the case. They should have jumped on it,
or whatever, right? So bam. But also we have recording. We have a recording of these guys saying they want to take the narrative away. These guys happen to also be behind or next to tertiarily or directly
on the panel, though?
This year of hate, this amount of like this directed, targeted harassment.
Clown in
but
here.
Tupa, where do you have evidence of that like the same people that targeted you? And I'm not discounting what happened to you.
I'm happy to answer, but I wanted to get back to this thing. TJ had his hand up, and TJ was emoting, right, with hundreds early when this was being talked about. I want to know from his experience.
I don't want to hear from TJ, man. Why do we keep calling TJ?
The show, like, you're looking down on UFO Twitter almost as an alien as well, right? Like, we're all just researchers. We're all just kind of like,
it's just haters, dude. Copium and haters.
I
honestly just love it. It's just
people want to believe
so funny, dude. People want to believe so bad.
They're looking for something.
From TJ Allard of Skinwalker Ranch.
Listen, Tupa, you were in the first time
got mad.
Met Ashton, you were there, right? And I think he muted me in the space. And Ashton, you're like, I think someone just said, or Julian was just saying, you're a smart dude, man. Like,
I muted him in the space, guys, after he wouldn't stop talking for like 45 minutes.
Like, here, we got to get you a top line pitch.
Like 45 minutes,
dude. Story here. And I didn't know what I was getting into or just looking into. And I really wanted to help. And I still think that there was a story there. And I was
former
like,
mainstream media, everybody.
I don't just connect with people randomly.
Should we just let TJ cook here?
I couldn't do that. I'd be doing it all day.
This guy can't help but make everything about himself. All he has to do is sit and listen. That's all he has to do, right? And all he does is make it about himself nonstop.
Well, you can't be.
Why is this about this guy?
And tell people who have been doing video and television and tech their whole lives.
He's so upset.
They don't know what they're talking about. It's just disrespectful to people. And if you want, you're not going to push your narrative across because you need help getting anywhere.
I'm not going to say anything. Just let him cook.
You have to work as a team.
Let him cook.
You die as an island in this business in particular.
And I will never work with TJ Allard. I guarantee you that. I talked to the guy who I'm actually working with, and we both agreed this guy's a phony, and we're never working with this guy.
There's just too much.
I can't stand people that try to make everything about themselves. These are exact kind of producers that you never want to work with, right?
One of the next
he gets so emotionally invested,
if
right?
You question someone.
He works at Skinwalker Ranch, guys.
Even now, you're making fun
show
of
some respect.
Okay, great. You can have your opinion. It's one of the biggest shows on television, but you can have whatever.
Oh, it's one of the biggest shows on television, guys.
I wasn't attacking you personally.
It's one of the biggest shows on television.
But you want to downplay my work? Great, but this isn't your work, right? Your work has been awesome.
This guy just tried to downplay my work.
You started looking into something.
Now he's mad that I'm downplaying his work, dude.
This is your words, right? You said you started looking.
So angry, dude.
Not my words, yours.
He's just making up fake quotes for me now.
I feel like you don't want help.
These are your words.
And you can be right all alone.
You're right. You're right, TJ. We don't want your help. I don't know why you're on the panel, and we don't want your help. Let me be clear, TJ. If you're listening, we don't want your help.
Hatred and people angry, and you said the wrong things. Like, okay, this is too much for me. And I don't know.
I love you, chat.
This summer of hate or these milk fart or lube review. I don't know any of that drama.
I want to hear from Shy Keenan.
So I don't know the context when you guys.
She might not even come out that in favor of me because I was pretty.
But you were getting negative attention for going against the narrative that these are real. You're saying that you were getting DM'd and trolled. So it's like. How is it
now
that
they're the victims?
Somebody who goes against the narrative is getting.
Look at
you know what I mean, Tupa?
Yeah,
like it's.
I don't know. I didn't know any of that. Like I didn't realize this was a thing. Like I didn't realize how big this quote unquote thing was. I was like, oh, this is a cool story. It just appeared on my timeline. How did this get under my radar? Because I usually get alerted by somebody about some kind of cool.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you coming out and checking it out.
to explore, to look into about to take down that development road.
A VFX professional. Oh, you mean the corridor crew?
It's like I just got attacked. I'm like, okay, this is only
the corridor crew.
Hey, everyone else knows better.
The person who I dismantled every fake argument.
Well, TJ, I support
they just
you
read Metabunk.
and
they didn't do any
work. Skinwalker Ranch, and I love.
Thank you, Randy. TJ, yeah.
Is TJ done talking?
I have a little bit of
I hear what you're saying. You have.
This guy loves to make everything about himself. Somehow.
That's hard to follow.
This space has nothing to do with this guy. But somehow he's turning himself into a victim. Guys, I didn't look at any of the evidence, and I get attacked.
It is
so
a continuation.
He should be. Obviously, he should be the real victim.
Again, fall back on the research. That's where I see the value of interactions with Ashton for most people. I've had pleasant interactions.
Yeah, I love how all these people, it's all about their personal emotions and feelings, right? It's not about the evidence, it's just about their feelings and how they've been hurt.
Dude, come out of nowhere. TJ, like you said, you know nothing about what's been
going on. This is like legit entertainment right now.
We have countless.
This is better than the OC and any other Housewives of whatever.
Going on, regardless of what people want to say.
Me, man. I'm not.
That's why I'm listening to this right now, guys.
I know. Oh, absolutely.
Like, Yo, TJ, they haven't even brought up the evidence. They haven't brought up. We haven't even talked about the podcast yet today. The Skinwalker Ranch guy is upset about this.
Can be an undertone.
I'm disrespected. I'm disrespecting the UFO.
We're in the mix.
I'm disrespecting the UFO TV show.
People who want to look it up too, right? Like you talked about that. People want to believe, right? In the MH3 narrative.
People want to believe. People want to believe from the guy who makes Skinwalker Ranch. Everybody.
And I don't know if
you can't make this stuff up.
I don't know if I'd be the first person to bring this up, but there is and has been a combative nature with UFO Twitter.
Let's take a look at how Skinwalker Ranch is doing here. 6.4 on IMDb, 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's 1.5, 1 out of 5 on Common Sense Media.
It comes up in center figures of this community itself, and that's in the mix. So I'm not sure, like, if you've noticed it.
This is what we want to tie our case to.
Continue.
The level we want to set it to.
Listen, I just want some evidence here, man. If we could get some evidence.
I just want some evidence.
It says
from the Skinwalker Ranch guy, man.
Like, as of right now, it's this, therefore, a whole bunch of stuff. Like none of it.
TJ, do you get me though when I say that? Like, where was this energy when Corbell was dropping his videos this year? You know what I mean? Or when EAP Media UK?
Man. I don't know. I'm not like.
Why is this?
Can you at least recognize that something about this case and this rollout
somehow become all about TJ? Amazing. How did I predict that
in the past few years?
My 2 cents. I didn't know. Maybe this did happen about Corbell stuff because it's different, right? I don't see him attacking. He's a professional. He's not someone who started doing this in August.
Corbell's a professional, guys.
His whole life. Like, he's an industry professional. He understands.
Guys, I've been working in healthcare IT for 18 years,
and he does a really great job at that.
Nothing but stellar reviews from everybody I've worked with.
I'm seeing like he had no media training. Ashton doesn't know how to communicate with people in the way that would be required to push this.
Remember when TJ a minute ago was talking about how about how he didn't ever attack me?
And how
vital, like I told you.
How vital he's been personally attacked.
I don't think it has anything to do with media training. It has to do with human being training. I don't think I've ever had a person on my podcast or like talked to or been involved with a person.
So upset, man.
For
how
more
upset
than
are they?
Who
Danny,
just
don't do this to
openly
yourself,
burns
bud.
bridges the way he does. Especially like so the way one of the main reasons I wanted to get into this space was to like basically number one, put this whole thing behind us. I think I can speak for Julian when I say that. I think me and him are both very over like all of this UFO Twitter shit and all of the drama that's involved with the Ashton and the hate group and all that. Like all that sucks. I don't really have time for it or want to pay attention to it.
I've never complained about this hate group ever.
Like,
people
when I
complain
saw
on my
Red
behalf.
Panda's post saying that like it's a psyop, like could this be a psyop? Pay attention to what they say and why they're saying it. This is not
a psyop, guys.
And like
I'm a
to
psyop,
answer,
apparently, whatever that
do
means.
you think me and Julian were somehow like tipped off about Ashton and that's why we sort of attacked him?
Where are the ratings on this show?
Julian, I talked to Julian the day he did the podcast with Ashton. I kind of got the vibe of what happened. And then I talked to Ashton maybe the next day or 2 days later when Ashton told me about the hotel debacle, which I was like, that's very weird. Like, why wouldn't you say something to Julian? I've flown in probably 75 guests into Florida from all around the country.
We're still talking about the hotel thing? I thought we addressed that.
And I've had that happen to me at least a dozen times.
I said I didn't care about the price.
Will not charge my card they have on file, and they will accidentally, depending on who the clerk is at working the desk that day, they'll charge the guest's card.
TJ's a big clown.
every single
yeah,
time.
Julian and Danny are best friends, by the way.
Say, hey, charge my card.
That's just
whatever.
an open thing. They're best
I'll
friends.
call the hotel and have them switch the card.
So
that's
why Danny was defending him.
Up to that,
you guys should have seen the live chat just ripping Danny for defending Julian,
Ashton
ripping Julian
on Twitter
and his own podcast.
And it's just like I've never interacted with.
Yeah, I don't know why I need help from anybody.
Like a Twitter troll in a human form, and like. Even when Ashton was in there in person, we got along great. Like it was a good podcast.
Twitter troll in human form.
We disagreed on some stuff. We agreed on some stuff.
These guys are they have zero self-awareness, dude.
Your question.
They have no self-awareness whatsoever.
No, I talked to Julian the day he did the podcast.
It's always like this with trolls. It's like classic trolling, right?
His first reaction.
It's like all projection.
Like, yeah, this is fake. This is VFX. And that's kind of like,
guys, it's always the same. Like because I did how I treated Julian,
and then talking to Nico,
how I treated Julian, guys.
I kind of like,
it's always like this. If you don't believe what they say, this is the same as the people on Reddit. Exactly the same. He just admitted he wanted to prove it wrong.
Sort of like, no one else.
It's always like this with Redditors, right? If you don't believe what they say, then like you have some problem, right? You are egotistical or like whatever. It's always the same thing.
No one was pushing back on anything, so I thought that it would be a good opportunity to present him with some evidence that Nico put together, who has been doing visual effects for 10 years.
Nico.
And that's that. No, we weren't.
Man,
James Fox
didn't
tell us
read their comments
put us up to this, if that's your question.
They should read their comments from their own videos, honestly.
Well, yeah, thanks for clearing that air up.
Also to be clear, visual effects.
Yeah,
Nico,
Emily. Yeah,
wasn't like a part of this whole debacle.
I can't hear what he's saying.
Danny, you're cutting in and out. Is that happening to anybody else or just me?
Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah. Sorry, Danny. You're fading in and out. You might need to
make sure we
clip
clip these guys on some of the stuff that they're saying. It's hilarious.
Hey, let me ask TJ real quick.
Yeah, they
TJ,
sound like Reddit mods crying about being harassed. That's exactly
like the whole video is fake,
like.
or like just the orb.
Like they banned me and then they cry about me harassing them and ban me some more. How I treated Julian.
Orbs and explosion. That just kind of looks.
Yeah, exactly. They just want me to bow down to them. That's exactly what they want, right? It's the same as Reddit mod syndrome, right?
I even thought
they want you to bow down to them. They want you to kiss the ring or whatever weird shit.
That's interesting. Orbs floating around.
Is this Keemstar?
Airplane. That's super interesting. Maybe that's real. That could be legit.
That was weird. Keemstar was in here for a second. Wait, he's in the speaker?
That looks like, a 90s video game.
Keemstar. Drama alert.
It just becomes insane.
And
I just don't know how people have kind of believed in that, which is just crazy. And I know that just so we're aware,
should I be rude to TJ? Because I'm kind of tired of listening to this guy.
Ashton's streaming this out on YouTube, and as we're talking, he's talking over us to kind of just mock us as we're talking. So just put it out there.
He's listening. I love it, TJ. Why are you on the space, TJ?
Podcast at one point, or Danny's, whatever it was, one of you guys where he was typing while you're talking.
Guys, I'm typing while he's talking. Of course I'm streaming this. It's hilarious, man. This is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Well, I'll just say real quick.
Maybe TJ will leave finally.
While I still got these guys here.
So literally making it all about himself. I love it, dude.
UFO
My chat loves you,
one of these
TJ.
characters, right? That's kind of been
they love you.
Involved in some of these takedowns.
This is grade A drama,
they had DM'd James Fox about Julian Dory, which just found kind of random.
Nah,
and then another one was
it's so meta right now.
Darcy Weir, who's been in here and talked, and I enjoy his conversations, but sometimes I feel like he can be on that side of things. And he had said that he had warned Julian about
Julian and Danny should read the comments into their own videos. These guys are just digging themselves deeper.
Or something like that would come for him or something like that. So those were just
Redditor syndrome where they don't realize what real people are like.
There are already these kinds
the
of
reason why I have a bunch of followers is because real people.
You guys
I resonate with real people, not with
conspiracy guys,
children and Redditors who get butt hurt.
You guys are both saying it's from your experiences, and if that's valid, that's valid. That's what you guys experienced. I just wanted to clear the air on some of those things.
Am I still breaking up? Can you
no.
Yeah, I mean Julian's completely full of shit. This guy's lied 5 times about
totally
major stuff.
I've had a lot.
Lied about the hotel. Lied about the corridor crew.
A little bit more, or gave them a lot more
completely full of shit.
And I this thing with Ashton was a little bit personal for me because of the thing that went down with Julian. I won't deny
it's
that.
obviously personal for these
but
guys.
At the same time,
I mean, yes, we knew it was personal. That's why your chats are.
Also,
that's why
to
your
be clear,
comments are ripping you apart, man.
TJ made a comment about
you should
like,
never be personal.
Fake. I don't think those videos are obviously fake at all.
If you're a podcaster,
I think that those look
never
very real, just as real as any of those DoD videos, the Go Fast or the Gimbal. I think this is right on par with all those videos.
Not the videos themselves being fake. That was what I'm saying. The
why is this guy still here?
Real videos of airplanes.
Why is he still here?
The explosions in these orbs. That's what I'm. That's what I'm saying is fake.
The orbs. I
want to hear from Keemstar.
The orbs and the explosions to me are not obviously fake. I think those look just as legitimate as any of those videos that the Pentagon has released. Just to be clear.
I agree.
That's very nice of you, Danny. I want to hear from either Shy Keenan or Keemstar, who I've seen join. Welcome, Keemstar. We got Drama Central going on here. I hope you enjoy.
Ashton,
I heard there was some tea, but I don't really know what the drama is. Can I get a quick?
What the fuck is Keemstar doing here? He should be like commenting on Tfue. Like,
nope.
He's setting up our UFO Twitter boxing matches.
It's UFOs today.
No, if there's any UFO stuff, I'm definitely right there. But yeah, I don't know the current drama though. Can someone give me a quick recap?
Oh, let me do it. I want to do it. Yeah, so
Ashton, we can't do this.
Oh, you can't let me do it? Okay, you do it. I'm too biased. Okay, Tuba, you do it. I'll let you do it.
MH370 is an airplane.
TJ's the expert, dude. Guys, he's been in TV for years. Why don't I bow down to him enough?
Or a couple months after the video went down, or the plane went down.
Here. This just gets better and better, dude.
So Ashton's been going a lot of podcasts.
This might be their favorite stream.
And explaining the case from his perspective and his research. From the Reddit subreddit getting canceled and whatnot, he's experienced a lot of pushback, but also
I don't care about the
with it anyway, and getting a ton more exposure. He was recently on Danny and Julian's podcast, and he was very combative.
I was combative
words during it.
I was combative,
it wasn't
guys.
As bad, like when you watch it, it's like okay, they're just going back and forth, but a lot of stuff happened after on Twitter.
Wait, real quick. Are you talking about the disappearing video?
Yes.
Okay, well that was debunked. It was a very old
it was debunked, guys. Keemstar spoken up.
Effects program. I seen a whole video on it.
There's multiple claims about different sources for that, right? From an old video game and then Nico did a recent one.
It's a 90s video game. Keemstar's waiting, guys. He saw the Mick West video. He doesn't even know where he saw it from.
Right? So he didn't use the video game thing. So there's so far two different
combative. That's my favorite.
I think that's what I took away from it. So I don't think that's necessarily debunked, but no matter what, the videos actually.
Ashton, stop thinking differently. They don't like that. That's really what this all boils down to, right?
To believe that right away would be crazy. Right? There's no doubt. But the research that Ashton's put forward, Keemstar, are you familiar with any of that research?
I seen a video on it, and where it was like debunked according to the creator of the video. I didn't realize it was still being debated. I thought it was a done case.
Yeah, you got fooled by a guy named Mick West. So, like, his whole job is to put fake debunks out there. And the guy that made the video, and the person has not come forward. And in fact, that's the only way to debunk the videos now is that we need the person who theoretically made these perfect videos, according to the Corridor crew, to come out and show us so that we can see their source material and prove it, because every debunk has been destroyed to date. Even just the podcast that Danny Jones just put out there, at the end, I think he was trying to trap me, and Julian had a claim that this major studio is going to reproduce the videos, which never, of course, happened. Instead, this guy from Nico from the Corridor crew just repeated a bunch of metabunk stuff, which I already had heard everything beforehand, right? So I had already had everything prepared to refute every single claim. And you can check that out at the end of it. So they are definitely still open to being looked at in evidence. And despite what TJ falsely claimed, if you just read my profile, tweet my profile, it's one of the longest tweets in Twitter history. Has all the evidence listed out, broken out by category for anyone to just kind of absorb. In fact, Anonymous today
evidence of what, Ashton? Evidence of what, Ashton?
So Anonymous today made a video about it. InfoWars made a video about it yesterday. And today, Anonymous, with their 3.2 million followers, made a video. So it's definitely heating up. And I'm not sure why so many people are so personally upset and invested in all of this, but I just find it really entertaining.
I don't have much knowledge on this. I know little bits, just like any normal person that spends a lot of time on the internet. But didn't they find pieces of the plane like wash up on shore a couple of years ago, or is that
that's in my list as well? So debunking the debris, no official search found by the debris above or below water. The debris that you're talking about was found by random people. They searched with 42 planes and 32 ships, didn't find a single piece. The evidence that they found actually had fire burn marks on a couple of those pieces of debris. some of the debris that they found with burn marks actually had a honeycomb pattern of Boeing. There was a B-77 fire suppression device washed up in the Maldives, was never looked into, even though we've presented a fire scenario. The flaperon that you hear the media say that they matched to a unique serial number actually wasn't matched to a unique serial number. The unique serial plate was missing. And that there was a equivalent copy of the plane purchased by GA Telesis in October of 2013 that is potentially connected to the U.S. government, where that breach could have come from that plane. So there's a lot of stuff out there that really cast doubt as to whether or not they really found any significant portions of this plane.
This is awesome.
But that's not evidence, according to TJ.
This is great.
Yeah, I'd love to just see one piece of evidence about teleportation. That's all.
Yeah, you should listen to my Bob Grenier or Salvatore Pius interviews, and then you can learn about it.
I don't need to listen to anything.
Hey, bro, that's a good point.
Get into Sarfati email chain. You might hear a lot of it, but I don't know. I'm just saying that.
All right, let's get to some of these hands, and so we could cycle out some people, because a lot of people are trying to get up here and speak. I know Randy had his hand up for a long time. Let's do Randy, Screen, Shy, Jules. And thanks for being here, Team Star. Totally random.
I miss you all, guys. I just want to say, certain parts of planes that are taken out, fixed, and then resourced back into another plane.
The plane,
actually, some plane parts.
What
have
happened
been
to it is we have an ability
and been put back into other planes, and then had actually some paranormal actions in those planes. So we shouldn't always just go extreme. Think it's always conspiracy, and my son always says, "God, you guys are always conspiracies." I said, "No, son." But I think
thanks,
sometimes,
Susie. I do have all the receipts.
A little bit in the middle. I mean,
we're just enjoying
think it's really crazy, but this was the most extreme search ever.
You should look somewhere in the middle, guys.
In world history.
Look somewhere in the middle.
So it's like, that's pretty crazy. Why would they do such an extreme?
Yeah, TJ's
search?
not getting enough
anyway,
attention.
I missed you guys. Thanks for letting me get a chance to speak. Love you guys.
I'm not
Thanks,
here to make
Randy.
friends, everybody. Although you guys are all my friends, of course,
Love
but that's not what I'm here for. I love how nobody's looked at the evidence and they all just know it's
yeah,
fake.
man. I try to stay neutral in all this, right? Most of the time I agree with y'all, right? And most would consider me in your camp, and I think Think Tank and them wanted to separate Ashton from the video.
Is this guy?
Because when it was bubbling, he's the one riding that wave. He's getting a lot of attention that they're not. Personally, I think it's a conspiracy that it's getting so much attention, right? So, like, like y'all think it's a conspiracy that way, I think it's the other way. Like, I can't believe this video is getting so much attention. And it gets tough because it's like we're always battling perspective. I say this all the time. But at the same time, like, I've had issues with Ashton too, and just being cool. And then after he comes at you at that point, you're like, okay, well, fuck this guy, so then you go at him. And then that's, it's just like a never ending thing, it seems like. But when I look at that video, I see spheres and all the other sphere stuff. The spheres don't move like that, right? So that's number one for me. The fact that they're saying it looks kind of like a video game, kind of not. That's a video game from the 90s that it almost looks like. So it's like everything for evidence, submitted for evidence. You can put some on each side of the fence. So it's really irrelevant. And it's just like when they talk about the science and those things, they talk around a lot of it, and that's the issue because people don't really know how this stuff works. So then they can like get tricked or be open to all these other wild ideas and stuff like that. Get into like if the video is real, get into the spheres. Where are those at? What are they doing? All that type of stuff. But I've never seen them linked to portals. Just kind of doing like relay cloaking type stuff. But yeah, I try to stay neutral about it, and I
can't. This guy's just super loud.
Honestly, tired of hearing about it.
He's just super loud, guys.
Yeah, Chupacabra, you posted something like 5 days ago. You the video of what happened in Spain a year before MH370 disappeared, and it shows the exact same phenomenon, right? The three spheres orbiting the plane, a triangle formulation of that.
100%. It was.
Oh yeah, JJ, I do need help with that.
The exact same phenomenon.
Is the mic isn't better now?
Right. So there's a lot.
I didn't do anything, but some people are just quieter than others.
And these spheres I've seen.
Yeah, Aaron, I don't know why it's so entertaining, man. The UFO drama is just so damn entertaining, dude.
I definitely have seen it like that.
Yeah, he tries to stay neutral. He's literally talking crap all the time. He was trolling alien scientist chat with Salvatore Pius nonstop, like one message a second.
Right, but the experience, I think, the reason why we highlight this, you know what I mean? The reason why we highlight it, I think, is because the actions taken to separate him from this, regardless if you think he should be the one talking about it, or if he's, you know, I mean, whatever, however you see fit, right, as a viewer.
Yeah, it's better, but that's just because that other people were just too loud, man.
Podcast, you know what I mean? That this sounds
they were just too loud.
Well squashed. They didn't get along. You know, and Ashton fell under attack for his own reasons, and for reasons that I can see kind of happening to him as well. Does it excuse his behavior? And
who's Keemstar again?
Right? I don't know. The idea, though, is that like the actions taken were extreme, and they weren't just extreme.
I don't know.
Right? They were absolutely in line.
I can't remember. I think he's some kind of
all year,
streamer
even though
or
a lot of
something.
people have noticed it, right? And we're talking about straight up like false sexual assault allegations. You know what I mean? Like straight up, like a fake.
It doesn't help that we keep bringing up the fake stuff.
To actually sound like Ashton asked for $45,000 to get to Washington D.C. to push this stuff. Like it was written 100% to convince the audience and to convince UFO Twitter that this guy was out there grubbing for $45K just to get to DC, and eventually got taken down. You know what I mean? That's a serious effort, right? It's not just that like, okay, this guy's idiot. I honestly believe, right, that if his behavior is like so bad, right? If
it's out of nowhere on November 12th,
and people don't vibe with it, people won't vibe with it. The evidence is out there.
I realize that he is the one who got banned from the chat.
And you got to give him credit where credit's due here, right? Like
this is why I don't unblock people. People
can be like, oh, look at all this stuff.
Chat. This is why I don't unblock people
and do that work. But does he deserve, and should we as a community excuse
every time
those extreme actions taken? Man. And should we just not investigate who did it, even though they're in a recorded spaces saying they did it or saying that's what they're going to do, and they've been.
Oh, he's from H3H3.
Like forever. Like when it's Ashton, it's Ashton. But who's it going to be next, and for what reasons, right? Who are we letting police our community with such extreme measures, right?
That's my boxing stuff.
If Ashton falls on his face for this stuff, let him
Drama
fall on
alert.
his face
I don't know what that
for
is.
his own behavior. That's how I feel. But again,
yeah, it's just physics, man. It's
we got
science.
Some more speakers, and here we're going to cycle some new people up.
I think that if you're part of Skinwalker Ranch, you might not be familiar with the topic.
Can we get to another speaker and come right back to you?
Just kidding. It's cool. I think people should make whatever shows they want. I used to watch Ghost Hunters, you know,
shy. I think you
just because it's fun, you know.
And then
not because I think there's ghosts out there.
Hello, how you doing? Hi, Tupa. Hi, Red. Hello, Excellent Space, by the way.
Did Danny leave? Yeah, Danny took off.
Hi, Ashton. How you doing? Are you still in one piece? Jeez Louise. Okay, so...
Yes,
look, I'm not going to take sides and pretend I know anything. I am a CGIist. In other words, I armchair do that. And so I was talking with Ashton when I first met him, when he first come onto the scene. And I was trying to help the argument he was having about the way orbs worked and tried to... And then as soon as I put the video up, I got some of the most extraordinary DMs, and I put it back down again because I didn't want to really be involved in all of that. But I do, look, I understand this. He's not a bad salesman. I'm sorry, you're wrong about that. Is he rude? Well, I don't know. He's never really been rude to me. But everybody's talking about it. And so is that a bad thing?
Drama.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Drama.
I just want to say everyone really is. So stop saying he's a bad salesman, because just stop it. It's not true. And then say, you know, is that evidence controversial that he's whistleblowing out on? Yeah, of course it is. It's got all of the elements in it, and he's asking everyone to dig through it. But I do not get.
Emily wants to hear what you have to say. I know you're watching.
People might not be happy with the whatever.
You haven't talked in like 2 minutes.
Absolutely unnecessary, and it really just muddies the water. And obviously, we all know about the lies that have been told about him. Jeez Christ!
I love Shai Keenan, by the way. I've gone in some great spaces with her. She's always been super respectful. Asks really smart questions. I would join her spaces, and there's only like 4 of us in the space.
His evidence. It's just evidence that the evidence is true or untrue. I'm simply saying, wow, don't you pick on people who are trying to...
It's not my evidence. I just put the evidence out there.
Anyway, pack it in, you big gits. Be nice, play nice, and I'm going to shush now. Oh, Ash, if you get a chance,
awesome.
Please unblock Jules, because he's a sweetheart and just not a bad person. If you can. I know that
How do I find Jules? Which one's Jules? Is she in here?
have a good day. I'll minute everything. Bye.
Thank you, Shay. Just real quick, did you say you were a CGIist?
I am, yes.
Jules got blocked because she was liking and whatever defamatory
content about me,
I remember.
But I was trying to explain an element of the video that completely went off the rails and actually ended up looking like I was trying to entirely debunk him, and I really was not him. Sorry. See, I even did it. You lot got me. I tried to debunk some of the evidence.
Yeah, they're not even discussing the videos. That might exactly, Oscar. Ashton hurt my feelings, therefore he's wrong. That's really what a lot of this boils down to. Like, I don't know, man. It's Redditor syndrome, dude.
Because I'm not a scientist.
Oh, you never got to see the donut?
A knower of everything.
Yeah, sorry guys, it's all been everything's been debunked,
and I do that for fun. And that video,
perfect match.
That video can be made for 15p. That's really not.
This is too close to be a coincidence.
The rest
unfortunately,
of it,
I think
part of it can be made.
Turns out it wasn't a VFX; it was actually a donut.
And you also can't just make up the data that goes along with it. So,
well, Shai, even I don't know if you watched the video that
about
Jones put out today with the Nico statement from Corridor Crew. You know, he was like, "This don't feel stupid for looking at this and wondering if this is real."
By Alex Winters.
If it was hoax, it's very well done. It's like nearly perfect. He goes, "There's just a couple things that I see in here that could, that tell me that it's most likely or most definitely, CGI or whatever." And that's, to a hammer everything's in there.
TJ for president.
So I wouldn't expect him to be like, "Hey man, I throw the towel in. I'm not good at my job."
This is the best drama, guys. You don't even need Real Housewives of whatever county anymore. You can just watch this.
From there. Let me just shout out, bro. Shai Keenan, she got a shout out on today's podcast with Danny. She was shouted out, so yeah, good time.
Yeah, see.
Oh hell yeah! Congratulations, Shai. That's dope.
Dope. So yeah, Keemstar and then Jules.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick. Previous speakers were.
No, it wasn't just for their likes. Like they were supporting like some of these nuttos that were like making up fake stuff about me, like that's what they were talking about. I just go look at who's liking it, and then they got blocked.
That's why.
But that's fine. I'll unblock her. It's not like a
whole world
major issue. Nico of the Corridor Crew is an expert, guys.
To answer that,
the same guy that tried to debunk the real DoD videos.
When I saw the video, it reminded me of the videos where orbs are making crop circles. I didn't see the orb behavior, being weird or
stir the pot a bit more,
right.
Ashton.
I mean, it looked like typical.
We need to spice it up a little bit more. Let me think about it.
That's all I had to say.
Hermes, you cracked me up, buddy. Dude, they got everything. Really chat wants me to spice it up a little bit more.
Jules,
we don't have any like video evidence of orbs like really ever like performing like this, right? So when
this
you
reminds
say
me
like
of
this looks fake, what are you basing that off of, right? We don't have anything to compare it to. You know what I mean?
This reminds me of.
I find the Jubilee orbs interesting because I feel like they're kind of doing a similar little thing when the Queen died.
Cook joke, where here's the wife and the husband arguing about jelly.
Hey, if you want to know about those orbs creating crop circles, you need to talk to Shai again because she was actually involved in the investigation to that a number of years ago. No, my take on it is I'm really unsure about the videos.
Did she leave? Where's Shai Keenan?
Ashton came into a space with us.
Who else are some of these people?
And then a lady called Cindy Hendry, who was a Tom
Cindy
Nodder
Hendry.
in the original investigation looking at satellite footage, joined us, and I was hoping it was going to lead to some healthy debate, but it ended up in a scrap, and Ashton blocked me. So
that's not why I blocked her.
We need to give Ashton a little bit of slack because there is obviously something very strange about the MH370 case. And I live in the city in the UK where Rolls-Royce is based, and there has been absolutely no heads nodded towards the fact that their engine management system was recording
right
for
about
a long
the Rolls-Royce stuff, but
after the plane
she kept harping on
missing.
the Rolls-Royce stuff. I can't do anything about it.
Completely
we can't dig into the Rolls-Royce stuff. I wish we could.
To all the other flight controls, it goes straight back to.
There might be some jealousy, Jimmy, but
where in the
I don't know.
town
I don't know. I don't really care.
And
everybody had their opportunity, man.
It's been around several decades.
If you listen to
extremely reliable
Alien
system,
Addict today, I mentioned that
it was developed partly to protect Rolls-Royce from
Emily,
litigation.
TJ's crying because he didn't get a shout out on Danny's podcast.
So that they can.
I'll be honest. I never thought about TJ. I never thought he would be on even the space
plane's engines
today.
The other thing that I sort of find really strange about the case
Danny self-destructed today.
There was a battle fleet.
It was worse than I thought, actually. I watched it.
And it is roughly 10 years.
I warned him.
Nimitz encounter,
he
and
called
it shares
me.
a lot of similarities with descriptions.
And I told him to make this. Don't make the space. The name of the video like controversial, like with exposed or whatever. But he didn't take my advice.
Encounter, I think, was some kind of prototype testing, and that is why people came onto the ship to take all the data afterwards. And I think by the time MH370 went missing 10 years later, there would have been a working prototype or several.
We're listening to Drama Central. We've got,
and there's also the fact
we had
that
Keemstar in here, but it looks like
he
left
on the plane, and Western.
But yeah, this is, we're in the middle school drama level of the stream right now, where we we talk about what happened with the podcast today and why these podcasters are so upset
with this plane.
And talk about people's feelings and stuff like that.
Garcia was shot for, was it 24 or 48 hours or something like that?
We're actually talking about the case now, which is interesting.
I think Ashton has a problem because he's not terribly confident at dealing with people, and it comes across as aggression. So maybe we need to give him a bit of slack
dealing with
that
people
and let him develop his skills a bit. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the videos, but
guys, you'll never hear me telling other people like
this whole situation.
Like, I don't know why people are so judgmental about everyone.
Well said, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jules.
Appreciate that.
He's not
but I agree. This is weird, and there's a bunch of strangeness surrounding.
I went on 2 hostile podcasts for a total of 10 hours straight and being interrogated,
some of this stuff is
and didn't break a single sweat.
Who's next? Right, we're gonna get over to UFO intros.
Yeah, these people think they're the gatekeepers of truth.
Let's do UFO intros and then crypto junkie and then back to TJ.
All right.
Everybody thinks they're the gatekeeper.
UFO intros.
That's why I don't even want to comment. I just want to listen and just commentate for chat here.
I just have been viewing all this from the sidelines for the
Matrix
past couple
working
months. Hard. Ashton seems to have some serious research chops on him.
Who's this?
But yeah, I really have been like viewing this from afar, and honestly,
all
like,
his passive aggressive comments, toxic, it's so wild,
like,
dude.
Crazy people, whether they're
passive
part of
aggressive
some, like,
comments are
psyop
wild,
or not,
man.
I don't know.
I can't
the amount
believe
of crazy people on this platform, it does not.
Hey, thanks. Question we're too afraid to ask.
The way that he's reacted to that, and
guys, how have I reacted?
I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I really don't.
How have I reacted? I've like never posted about these people ever.
Story resurfaces.
Never.
And it's someone else talking about it, you know.
I just keep doing my thing, man. I'm like Kobe Bryant.
It's gonna be Think Tank and King Part on the cover of Liberation Times. I like when Tupa said that. So that's what they're.
I mean, I hope that the podcasters learn a lesson from this.
That's for sure.
Which is you're gonna get roasted by your own comments if you come at me with hostile intent.
That's what I predicted.
Release the orbs on Julian Dory.
UFO intros. Crazy toxic. There's been some
wild all these people have their opinion on someone they've never met before. It's wild, man.
That stuff happened first.
And meanwhile, my comments are I don't judge people by their supposed expertise. I judge them based on how they act.
Toxicity seeps out into a lot lot of things. That's a strange aspect of this community.
Nah, right? R.I.P. Kobe, man. He was the greatest.
Level, while you might not be engaged with
I miss Kobe, man.
Immediately affects you if you're involved, you know, at the spaces level. And
Danny
like
deleted that poll. We showed it on the.
And then it subtly starts to nudge certain narratives.
And because it was so contrary to the comments. We showed that poll on the Alien Addict stream today. I was talking with them for like 3 hours. Those guys are legit.
Of control.
Danny sunk his own battleship.
It's supposed to appear.
Guys, I gave Danny so much good advice in the most friendly way possible. He kept asking me about. I told him not to post that poll about should I release the video too. I told him to not give the name.
So it's an aspect of this that kind of has to be.
Yeah, Kobe was a bit arrogant, but he had the skills, man. He just got his job done, dude.
Although I don't think that takes away from
I was a Laker fan too, so.
Or Danny's experience. It sounds rough, right? But let's put it in context of the timing of everything. I mean, maybe that'll help us understand, right? But go ahead, crypto.
Yeah, that video. I don't know if did he show all the winks that he gave me too. Before he showed me that corridor crew video.
There's just a few quick points here.
He like winked at me like a bunch of times too. Like I knew something was coming. Like he had this like smile on his face. I'm pretty sure he didn't show it in the videos, but I looked at him like something's coming. I knew something was coming.
It was what was being made.
I don't have the poll in front of me, but the poll came out with 54% saying that the videos were real, and this was people that were like in his chat.
30 years before James Fox went back to look into what Spielberg told him about the whole Virginia case. So it's not that I'm not sure how he could have such an imposing position at the time when he hadn't really looked into it.
Emily, you're my favorite right now. Ashton's so rude and aggressive. That's why he's just sitting here listening quietly. There's 5 people dogpile on him.
Like a concrete position, but
I think that
have a lot of respect for James Fox.
Trolls don't really realize that like I'm unshakable, man.
I'm sure that most of you know.
This is like nothing compared to what I've had to go through before. Once you spend time on the internet, you just learn to like let nothing affect you.
Researching or looking into it. So the likes of
oh yeah, Jimmy, I'm ignoring that. We're just here for the entertainment, my man. We're just here for the entertainment. This is great. I'm loving
the Virginia documentary.
No, the one before. What is it called?
Yeah, I've seen the Flight Radar stuff on MH370. I don't think there's anything to that. I think it's just like a glitch.
James Fox's documentary. All right.
The anonymous video is pretty big, man. We got Anonymous to post a video about us today. We got Infowars post a video about us.
It's a great one for me to show to people for like an introduction into the whole subject.
To be clear, I like Danny. I think he's a good guy, but he and Julian basically admitted that they were super biased.
Like, most people
and yeah, it doesn't come off great when you bring somebody on to try to debunk them. Like that's dishonest intent. What do you want, man?
Blue Elizondo, TTSA, Sean Cahill. All these.
The weird part about Danny's thing when he did the fake breaks. Did you guys notice that? He said, "Hey, let's take a break," but they just kept rolling the cameras.
What's going on?
Like that was weird, man. That was weird.
The other. We'll have the U.S. Navy that's coming out behind Salvatore Caesar Pie with his patents.
Quarter correct.
If you go and check what's been going on with him over the internet.
Are they working on it? I hope they keep their source material. Let us watch.
Putting out pseudoscience, removed from search listings. There's a lot of stuff going on there. People should probably look into. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but going back to
where do I think the plane went? If I had to guess, probably Diego Garcia military base. It's the best place to hide it. Coast to coast. I actually gave the wrong time. I'm gonna have to update that. Coast to coast is actually going to be on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Why he was starting that way and what it was about. Mentioned something about what happened 40 minutes before, but
I can't stand by a Laker fan. Well, I'm not really a Laker fan anymore after Kobe died. But I lost all faith in the NBA after Kobe died. I don't know. I mean, it just.
And you could see the change.
I loved Kobe, man.
And how he believed him. Ashton struggling with that, convincing people with his personality. But that's not to say the facts that he's putting up aren't true. Or, so people need to sort of look at that and take away from that. You can't blame the personal person behind it over the facts that's being put up on.
Why am I ignoring the space?
It's very hard.
I don't know. Do you think it's like really that important?
Right or wrong.
It's just fun.
One way or another.
I actually like to listen to these spaces while everyone's just trying to hate on me. I think it's really funny.
Nobody's yet to come up to be able to prove they can replicate it. And in May,
the orbs probably made it disappear to a place on Earth. Yeah, they're not UFOs. It's probably our technology. I mean, doesn't that make sense?
Salvatore Caesar Pie.
Do you think that aliens are teleporting the plane to another dimension?
Oh yeah, he's redeemer of the people.
Doesn't it make a lot more sense that the plane was doomed and they're saving the plane and saving the people on it?
Him himself, something's going to come out of that in the future, and I definitely think there's a lot more behind that.
Crip, I want to put some.
Yeah, neither Danny nor Julian or any of the debunkers on Reddit can understand that you can't just copy the video. You would have to make it from scratch. There's nothing to copy it from.
Very much like something like you put in a TR3.
Hi Marley, I saw you in Danny's chat as well, buddy.
Patents were kind of just circulating.
This is in Danny's chat.
Now, like eventually, his first appearance when people first saw his name was on Theories of Everything podcast with Kurt Jaimungal. Did an amazing interview. And he came out to be very
the personal attacks are hilarious, man.
Seems pretty chill, right? And recently he's done some more.
Julian's here recording this for his handler,
Jeremy Reese, I believe, right? Of alien scientist on Twitter. Now before that, though,
I think that you should look into the motive, guys. Maybe I'll pull it up for us while we're.
It was really interesting, right? So then you go flash forward now. Salvatore's on.
Yeah, everybody's just going to talk about their feelings. If you're not familiar with the UFO community, then this is pretty much how they always play out.
Ashton on his own.
It's always about the personal feelings with these guys every single time.
Right, Ashton too. Pay attention. You know.
No, I don't have ADHD.
That case, and then he says like, I want to say one thing. Ashton and I are not suicidal. That's kind of that was a very extreme thing to say. Like, he was. I found it to be very interesting. Again, everyone's gonna have.
Yeah, and just so Julian,
here's your motive, guys.
We're like trying to crucify him or anything. I'll say the same thing to Ashton. You're probably getting a bunch of people too, like hitting you up. Just always got to be careful. Like, who's telling me what? Even us, even me talking to you, Ashton, me talking to you, Julian.
Oh yeah,
who's telling
I'm always
me what?
cautious
Why are they
of everybody.
me?
I don't trust
How
anybody.
do I feel about certain situations?
I love you guys, but I don't trust
talking
anybody.
to these people. You know what I mean? Especially if this is a real thing.
I trust
we've already seen
Salvatore
lots of narrative control be deployed. I'm sure you've already experienced
Here's the motive
a lot of it,
for you
but
guys.
it's always good. Anybody in this UFO space to just
TJ, they want you, bud.
Their
Everyone wants to hear from you,
all the
TJ.
way.
Chat wants to hear from you.
One wee point.
I know you're listening, buddy.
Crip, real quick, and then we got to get back up to TJ. Okay.
We got to get back to TJ, guys.
The guy that was up those horns and stuff. What do you call him? He was on one of those last.
Emily, TJ says, I hope TJ makes us Netflix series about all this and calls it Skinwalker Space.
But he had went through a whole string of things about.
Ashton refuses to listen, guys. Refuses. It's not normal for an adult.
He's right.
Paul's got Redditor syndrome.
He's talking about the shaman.
If Ashton doesn't agree with me, he refuses to listen and he's arrogant. It's called being an individual and thinking for yourself,
I have never
Paul.
dug into the backstory.
No, we don't want TJ to be removed. No. He's the best.
At the very start, when it was released through the drive.
TJ is so mad you didn't care about Cringe Watcher Quacker Ranch.
On the internet, and I mean nothing. For one photo that had been raised not long before.
Cringe Walker Ranch.
Then there was a flood of information, then it was all removed. It seems to me like there's definitely.
I'll be honest, I've never watched a single episode of Cringe Walker Ranch.
Confliction within the government of the United States. Should it be a psyop or what? I don't know. But
yeah, he's a bit of a shadow. He's a bit of a shadow
on the internet.
Now, real quick, Crip, I want to say thank you so much. I want to get over to TJ real quick.
At the mic interview with Keith was really good. S23, you should check it out.
So TJ's going to get any final thoughts?
Yeah. I just want to say because
I'm raising my hand too, but I can't because I'm on computer. But hand raising.
Also, let's go ahead and address that real quick. Megan is on the computer, so she can't raise her hand, and she's been trying to.
Let's
for
hear
like a while
from Megan.
now,
Megan's actually really
Megan,
nice.
We'll get right back to you. We'll get to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump. I'm sorry, but Tupa, know me for a while. Like, I don't go into these spaces. I've never had disagreements or butt heads with people. Right? I'm trying to help. Like,
I'm trying to help.
TJ.
Yes, TJ.
Yeah, and offer my help with everything I can to elevate.
He's always trying to help. Yep. Nobody asked.
Just never with Ashton.
Nobody asked.
Experienced this kind of like attacks or anything. I mean,
he's got to be. He's the victim somehow in this.
Doesn't help me professionally.
He literally doesn't even have to be in here.
Just to kind of put it out there, when I pitched this like Skinwalker 5-6 years ago, I was literally laughed out.
Literally making all about himself right now.
The runes of discovery.
Too funny, dude.
A&E eventually picks it up, but it's professionally expensive to talk about this topic. But I've been doing this 20 years.
This is why I'm not in UFO community, guys.
I've never done any kind of shows in that realm before, right? So this was all kind of new.
TJ, dude.
And I'm just trying to elevate.
This literally comes in, makes it all about himself, just like he did in my other space, where I didn't ask, didn't want it.
Is that it sucks a lot of the air out of the room. And people have been focusing on just this for so long, and this is to me.
I'm talking to George Knapp's on Coast to Coast. No,
because all the stuff that we're talking about.
I'm talking to Richard Silent on Coast to Coast.
Or of anything else, it's speculation, and that's fine. You can call it evidence.
Yeah, another space. TJ didn't care about MH370 because it wasn't marketable enough.
I'm telling you, there's nothing there in terms of evidence.
Right. Can I ask you a quick question, TJ?
TJ, the guy from Skinwalker Ranch is saying there's no evidence there, guys.
Of Skinwalker Ranch.
Incredible.
Of Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch.
In terms of just TV versus.
There's not enough evidence for TJ.
Skinwalker Ranch. You're focusing on a topic within the community, right? A topic within the culture. Now, have you
this is too funny, man.
That the kind of mythical.
Next, we're gonna hear from the creator of Ghost Hunters, guys,
Hollywood,
about how we need to treat him with more respect.
And does Ashton's kind of seemingly grassroots, right, like personal solo marketing campaign and publicity, is that sidelined?
Cringe Watcher Ranch and the Energy Triangle.
You've never seen anything like this. Does he have to abide by those rules in the same way? And what does that represent?
I have nothing against Skinwalker Ranch. I think people should watch whatever they want to watch, but I think it's pretty hypocritical for a guy like this to claim that we don't have any evidence when he won't even look at what we're looking at here, guys.
Are we trying to get this bigger because they want a show, they want movies, they want TV?
If TJ listened to anything I've ever said, if you listen to anything I've ever said, he'd know exactly what I'm trying to do.
Listen,
I say it on every single podcast. I've done 30 of them.
In my estimation, I think that's crazy impressive.
Why is this even about him at all? Why is he giving advice? Why do so many people give advice when they don't get asked?
Narrative control is, to me,
I don't go around giving the Skinwalker Ranch people advice. Like, imagine if I went in there and I'm like, okay, Skinwalker Ranch, here, TJ, here's some advice for Skinwalker Ranch. Find some evidence.
Just in terms of, like, you know, History Channel, TVs, you know, these networks are huge, right? So that's what I meant by the myth.
Yeah, the last thing I want to do is market these videos for money.
I got you. I don't think there's in or out.
I want to get the answers for the families who got no answers, for the pilot who was vilified, for the leaker who went to prison, for the witnesses who were discredited. That's what we're doing this for.
People who have the access to give you exposure will trust you because you have a track record of success and trust. If you're coming in,
I can't believe he's still going. I really can't believe it.
That. Like, you may have the greatest story in the history of the planet, but if you can't play the game, and when I say the game, I mean you have to operate within the system.
What is this, my man?
If you want to,
Skinwalker Ranch has zero evidence.
Want to use that for your
like,
leverage?
Literally zero evidence.
And this is just
this is our evidence. 2 videos,
more of the
19 witnesses.
Think of how actors come up, right? Actors come up, they start off
tons of evidence. We figured out how Sibber's system works. No one even knew how the satellites worked before I started doing this.
It's the same way with television. It's the same way with any kind of media. You have to instill trust in those who are going to be.
Yeah, they want to control me. That's what it comes down to, right?
If you can't do that,
they want to be able to control me. Juan, you figured it out.
They're not going to take.
I'm uncontrollable.
Right? Nobody goes and gives a reality.
They hate that the most out of everything.
$10 million, and they're like, hey.
That's what they hate the most.
Go shoot 13 episodes. I hope you come back with something great. No, it doesn't work that way.
They just ignore the facts, right?
You need to have that track record.
Here's why it didn't land crash in the South Indian Ocean. Here's why it's one of the biggest conspiracies of all time.
I'm more than happy to revisit
this
topic.
TJ, hold on, TJ, hold on. Like, on your show, would you say any of the video clips are evidence of anything?
Are they evidence of anything? I think they're evidence of you're seeing objects in the sky. You're evidence of whatever's being told. They're not
evidence of seeing objects in the sky.
Things that have this, therefore that, right? You see objects, you have corroborating evidence, you have
Crybaby Ranch.
Multi-measurement.
Wow, if I had any respect for Skinwalker Ranch before this, it is out the window now, folks.
Study something.
It is out the window. These people really just love to destroy their credibility. Just let them go, man. Let them cook.
Pieces of data that continue to reoccur.
Yeah, I'm studying actual physics.
They're going to set up a pattern, and so by doing that, you can say if this then that because it's happened this time, and this time.
Yeah, I'm dangerous to their narratives. That's basically emotion ranch.
Well, after
Clickbaiter Ranch.
Times, it can.
This is great. No, I agree. How many followers? How many people? Almost 300 people in this.
What do you know? Do you know what it is? No. Is someone saying it's XYZ?
I'm dying, guys. This is too funny.
I feel like that's a big.
Did you guys know TJ works in television? He knows actors.
Someone claimed
wow, he's literally never mentioned it before.
Because of these things that somebody who doesn't know what those things are,
guys,
saying those.
Here's the science, folks.
These telltale signs.
Here's the science, folks. We've done more science than 4 seasons of Skinwalker Ranch
just have
in only 3 months.
There and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, maybe I should talk to somebody who knows better than I do. I've only been doing this 3 months. Maybe I should talk to people. But instead,
this guy does nothing but talk down to me.
I mean, listen, I appreciate the time, man.
So,
I should probably run.
TJ, real quick before you go, because you were one of the people I wanted to talk to. We had talked about this a little bit before. I'm not sure
is that
if you
Megan?
remember.
I like Megan.
But you messaged me, and if you want to like talk via Discord or or something.
TJ's a producer. We hadn't heard.
What I would say is you were talking. Yeah.
Who's next?
So I think we have some different perspectives.
Crazy hair guy from Ancient Aliens.
In my mind, it seems we're still, to some extent, at least from my perspective, in the middle of investigating a lot of this stuff. Ashton has done his own investigation and is a little further along.
Yeah, there's really nothing to listen to there. It's just
but I think that looking for like
these guys are getting paid for their Twitter group therapy sessions. That's what these are. Honestly, Red Panda and Tupa need to be getting paid for this. Like these guys
and
are.
The last thing I would say is that you can talk about,
Wait, he changed his name to Tupa Podcast
to succeed or whatever. And I'm not here to defend Ashton's approach in all of these things. He's been kind of a jerk to me too. No offense, Ashton, we're cool, but like he did go from 30 followers to 50,000 followers in a couple of months.
I'm with you.
So clearly, Yeah, it
You love
really
to see
is.
it. You love
But
to
yeah,
see it,
And I
dude.
think
Tupa and
to
Red
some
Panda
extent,
deserve
this
a
approach
lot
is
of credit
sort of
for
what it
like
takes. You
group
kind of have
therapy
to
in these
have
guys
a
on a daily
fuck
basis.
all the
It's
haters
amazing.
approach to bring
Who's
something
hating?
like this
TJ,
to the
who's hating?
forefront. So,
I mean, I didn't approach it as hating. I approached it as trying to help. And I know for a fact.
No. Hold on. Real
TJ
quick.
is just having a meltdown, dude. He's
right?
having a meltdown
Valid
right
criticism, interaction, negative interaction happens all the time. We can't conflate that, right?
I'm not hating. I'm just trying to help.
Harassment or something like that.
I love the the backhanded compliments.
Totally agree.
Like Julian's like, you're a smart guy, but
let's not forget, Ashton
you're so arrogant to me because you don't agree with me.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry if that's going on for you, man.
Yeah, bro, if I want the actual
this isn't a
facts,
pity party for Ashton.
I have to talk to the Hollywood actors.
Those are totally separate.
Listen, just don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick, and I think people aren't a dick to you. I feel like that's a great way to live life, right?
TJ telling other people not to be a dick to anybody. This guy is just literally ranting about himself for like the last 15 minutes straight.
In the scale for me that Ashton truly believes what he's talking about, and he's headstrong here. That's what I think. That's what I think I'm seeing. And his execution, while valid criticism, is warranted in a lot of cases, right? But
let me just put this out there before I go to
TJ still can't. TJ's still not done, dude. He's still not done. I can't tell if this is LARP or if this is real, Joe.
With all of this,
I don't know what's happening right now. This feels like it's scripted.
What we're talking about is a microcosm of a microcosm.
This feels scripted.
This is going outside of this world. This is already been blowing up outside of this. To what? Like, where's Keem?
So much hurt feelings, dude.
Yeah, Keem was here, right?
Yeah.
So much hurt feelings.
Keem, refers to them as the normies. So people outside of this world are already well aware of this whole theory and all of this. And there's people who are doing deep dives. And again, there's 2 other shows that you'll see made off of not full-on shows, but episodes or segments within about this topic that has, and maybe it has to do with Ashton. Maybe
this guy's trying to hate of you. Okay, sure, whatever.
But yeah, so you'll see more of this outside of UFO Twitter or outside of all of this realm. But listen, I appreciate
sorry, TJ. Before you go, can I ask some questions, please? Sorry, it took a while to get up here, so please don't cycle me down so quick. So TJ, something about this came up a few times that you were specifically
this
talking.
This stuff is just better than. I mean, I would watch Netflix, but this is just better, man.
Said,
and I'm the center of attention
too. Touch this, and a few people have
good.
commented on that as well.
How can I resist this?
What exactly brings about such a thing before we've actually had this go anywhere? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I was interested and then this happened, I was interested and then this happened, but none of it is really, it seems to be around the actual evidence of it, and then we'll get to evidence
right because there isn't any evidence of teleportation. The only things that I see are like fake explosions, and that right there just immediately throws me out of it. I couldn't get behind that.
Why is this about TJ at all? No one cares. No one wants you on our side, TJ. I never asked for your opinion.
Say we're going broadcast. I'd have to get into a room.
This is the guy that does Skinwalker Ranch, and he's crying about teleportation. They show portals in Skinwalker Ranch.
What makes you say they're fake?
What makes you say they're real?
Well,
because we can explain the science behind them.
But you can't. I can explain the science behind why they're not.
I wish you would hold this level of skepticism for your own TV show, TJ. You're too funny, man. My chat loves you.
Again, Ashton, I've only said complimentary things about
you. You've only said complimentary things about me, chat.
Wait. Let me finish. I said about the work you've done here and how you've done an incredible PR campaign. I think that you're just now with your smirk and all of this. Again, you're revealing why people are probably doing these shows without you, right? Because you put this out there.
He's doing these shows without me.
It's unfortunate that it's going to happen with or without you.
So, spoiler, I don't want to make a show, and definitely not with you ever, TJ. But have a great night.
Right, I know, because I already told you I wasn't going to continue talking with you because you were talking about getting a lawyer.
This guy's so mad, dude.
Okay. Ashton. Why did you tell Danny you had a producer around shopping a documentary for this? I'd like a response on that.
Yeah, so does it matter? I think that's self-explanatory, right?
You just said you're not trying to do that.
I said I'm not making a TV show. That's correct. Should we play 20 questions with you, Julian? Because I've got some for you.
Knock yourself out, pal.
Nah, it's okay.
Ask a question, Ashton.
TJ and Julian.
I want to hear Megan. I want to hear Megan talk.
Zile, Megan, appreciate you. This space is directed at a specific topic, and we do want to give priority to that topic. When
Yes.
we can ask everybody questions, we definitely will. But
I
as
thought TJ was leaving.
Julian and Ashton, this is a thing. They're in the name of the space. We got to give them the stage when questions come up like this. If we can respect it, that'd be really cool. And then we'll get right back to you, Zila. Megan, can't wait for your questions. Thank you for being here too, by the way. Appreciate you guys.
Okay, first question for Julian. If you think this is all a scam, why did you send me a text message stating that you think I'm hurting the families and that I should feel bad about this? Shouldn't you delete the videos if you're the only one profiting off them? First question.
No, I said you're hurting the families because you refuse to not take all attention on this case. See, I do a podcast every week, right? I do multiple podcasts a week. I move on. If it were up to me, we'd be moved on from this episode right now. Secondly, you also accused me of censoring you ahead of time, which was hilarious. So I can't win no matter what I do. And it's 2 podcasts with you. It doesn't make that much money. And it seems to me like you don't want them out there, which is highly interesting to me. So that's not even an issue. But for you to make that, for you to look at all these pieces of evidence and only listen to the people who agree with you. I mean, you even cited that guy Victor on my podcast. I don't even remember his last name. But he hit me up on Twitter in the comments and was like, yeah, I tried to explain to Ashton that this was wrong and he wouldn't listen to me. So you were even citing people out of context on this stuff with the evidence that you find to support your case. So when I say you're hurting the families,
my reporting on Victor is 100% accurate.
You are drawing all your attention to this for you. You enjoy this, man. Like, this is there are real people in the middle of this. And you know what? If you want to accuse me of also being guilty of getting into the middle of the case with you and actually hurting the families in that way, maybe there's something I have to accept there as well and look in the mirror and say, maybe I should never have fucking gotten involved with this in the first place, which I will take full responsibility for.
So then delete your videos and stop profiting off it. Honestly, don't mind if you don't delete them or not. I think you looked like a jackass and your own comments shredded you to pieces, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, the comments are your whole bot campaign, pal. I was warned about this.
My bot campaign, guys.
An hour or two into the thing.
Let's talk
the
bot
same
campaign.
Thing to Danny.
Not the first time
I love how disconnected you are from reality that you think that I've got a bot campaign. That's the problem. You've got online Redditor syndrome. Let me just finish. You've got online Redditor syndrome where you think that like you're in the majority when reality is most real people see right through you. That's the problem. And I try to explain it to you ahead of time, man. And I warned you about it, just like I warned Danny about it when he put his fake, a description of this video. Like he called me this morning and we talked about what the description should be. And I told him, don't put exposed on there, man. It's going to look bad for you. He didn't listen to me. He lied to me, told me he wasn't. He said I was going to put revealed on there. Sure enough, you go look at those comments. Those aren't bots, man. Those are real people. So, I mean.
Yeah, they're MH370x people. Absolutely.
They aren't, man. I didn't even retweet it. I didn't even post it, Julian.
Who seeded that, like, that you're going to get hit with bots? Because they do buy bots for people, so I'm just curious.
I had multiple people in my DMs, and I will put one name on it. The guy Darcy, who was here earlier, he hit me up about an hour and a half into the video and said, "I hope you know what's coming next." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he explained it to me, and it was right on cue.
Real quick, Red, will you break down the bot situation that's been happening?
Yeah, I'll try to do it
notice he's not going to delete his videos, guys.
One of the tactics is to buy bots and then like falsely attribute.
He's the only one profiting, by the way.
And say like, look at this person's buying bots.
There's no bots; those are just real people. Should we read their real comments, guys?
But yeah, so that's just something they do. So I just find it interesting.
Bots don't get upvoted 100 times, guys.
I mean, it happened to me.
It happened to bots, right? I have you. We'll just ask you for the room.
Do I buy bots? No, I've never bought a single bot. I've never canceled a hotel reservation. I'm 100% honest. Everything I state is the truth and the whole truth. And that's just all there is to it. If that hurts people's feelings, that's just the way it is.
I think it's safe to say that I've seen a lot of interest in this case, and a lot of people feel very strongly that this might be the pinnacle, right? The video that needs to get found out. It's presented in such a way by Ashton that it's fact, and I could see a lot of people naturally, falling into
Bot Walker Ranch
period, and the mystique grew after the
did TJ finally leave?
Right?
Oh no.
And I'm sure it was a catalyst, and it solidified a perspective on this for a lot of people. Could that be the bot army we're referring to? Is it a natural thing, or could it be
these guys actually think that there were bots that were hating on them?
I think there's natural, but I'm sure that they also bought bots for him because they like hyped it all up, right? And they're thinking, I just wanted for the room and for Julian, like all these little
there's no
things
bots,
are,
guys.
Like, so and so told me
there's no bots in there.
So told me why, like they do eventually add up, I think, to, and I'll be honest too, Ashton's behavior kind of like, he is kind of like leaning into the troll angle of it, right? Because he's probably just annoyed with everything.
No, I'm leaning into it because it's hilarious.
Is why, like, the episode did have a different feel, I feel like, than previous episodes. You know what I mean?
It is something to consider. I'm not asking anyone to out their sources or anything, but, you know, and put it all in context, do some research. Again, these tactics repeat, they're repetitive, they're rhythmic, they keep happening. It's the same thing. So certain keywords, certain key players, they always seem to cross. It's like a Venn diagram continues and continues to cross only in specific ways. That's definitely one of them. It's
not bots, guys.
So it's something to look out for. But yeah,
just real quick though, it's not bots. Go read the comments. Those are real people. I think that when people live perpetually online, they don't know what real people sound like. But real people, or bots, aren't getting voted up like 50 or 100 times, guys. It's real people, and I think the podcasters that had those negative reactions should read the comments so that they can improve in the future. That's just my advice. I've been 100% honest about this, but let's just take it or leave it.
Yeah, and that's valid, but that still doesn't. There is still the fact that even before any of this, he was kind of like told that. You know what I mean? Like that was already kind of seeped in that Ashton's this crazy dude who buys bots and does all this stuff. You know, so he's going into it with that.
Yeah, I think that might have clouded his judgment a little bit. I totally understand that, but you're right on that front. Like, I think that people should be careful about what people tell them in the DMs. I think that a lot of this and a lot of issues with UFOlogy in general, that people think it's a popularity contest, right? The truth is not a popularity contest. It's not decided by popularity either. It's decided by the evidence.
Right. So, Ashton, and that's actually a fair point. I hope you can understand me having some pause then when you tell me, for example, that the friend of a nephew of a general told you behind an account in a DM that, you know, the general reacted this way to seeing a video, and I found that highly credible. Do you see how this works both ways?
Yeah, man, I've posted that. A lot of people here actually saw the general thing, and it was one of my most upvoted or one of my most liked comments ever back when I had a certain number of people. Like, you know, I think that from your perspective, why are you trying to be so harsh on your guests? You never acted like that against any other guests, man. So that's the second question.
First of all, when we were in the studio and people were coming up, because we were sitting in the studio for 3.5 hours before this podcast started, and people were coming up, you had no idea. I'm going to run through the list right here. You had no idea I had ever had in Sean Ryan. You had no idea I had ever had in James Fox. You had no idea I had ever had in Michio Kaku, who those three are important because they're right at the top of my page when you go on YouTube. So for you to say I've never treated other guests a certain way, which, by the way, I won't even say if you're right or wrong there. I'm just saying in general, You can't make a comment like that when you have not even reviewed my content. That makes no sense.
Yeah, to be honest, I never looked at any of your stuff, Julian, because again, like I said before, I don't judge people based on their credentials, and I don't do podcasts based on their credentials either. So I just took you to hopefully be an honest person, and I came in with honest intent.
And that's exactly what I did. And you chose violence after the podcast was over. I don't understand, and obviously I had an issue with things before as well.
Guys.
But I don't understand
I chose violence,
why you resorted to doing those things. I've never, and I mean, Danny said it better than I could even say it earlier about how we ended up feeling about you, but I have never felt this way about someone I had in.
So butthurt,
and when you left that day,
don't you know who I am?
I didn't feel that way. Did I have a lot of skepticism, and was I concerned with how you present some of the case? And did I think like
I chose violence?
I don't know if this guy's the best messenger of that.
You're so dishonest, man.
But I had zero issue with you, and I would have never titled it that way. I would have never done an intro like the one I ended up making. You did that based on how you then behaved over the next 5 days, and you got me see this.
This is
it got to me. It got me more pissed off than I have ever been in the history of me doing this podcast.
This is like domestic abuser discussion right now. You made me do this to you.
Like hold on, Ashton.
You made me do this to you.
No, I think that was kind of
yeah.
I think that was a hell of a response, but
you're just a bad person, dude.
Julie,
I don't know how else to say it.
I don't know. I thought he kind of was being very fair there, Ashton, and kind of like admitting, you know, exactly what, you know, where his head was at during that process. But that's my take on it.
This guy,
I respect your take too, bro.
Ashton, I don't know why you suck so much, dude. But you are your own worst enemy. You are going to be your own downfall if you don't get your head out of your ass, dude. Maybe if you stop being a dick to everyone, as Chupacabra was saying earlier, I'll just say it like that. Maybe if you stop that and you actually look strictly for
you
truth,
chose violence. What does that show come from?
Maybe you'll end up being the biggest guy ever on this stuff.
I don't want to be the biggest guy ever, chat.
But the way you're going right now, you are, to quote Danny from earlier, You are burning bridges, dude, and it's really, really sad.
Sorry, can I just ask Julian? I have a few questions for you.
Game of Thrones in on me.
You seem to be new to the UFO space and stuff, and this is post-interview with Ashton. Has this ever happened in any other sphere of people that you've introduced on your show or interviewed on your show, and then had to spend so much time after the fact talking about the interview?
Never, ever, ever. I have amazing interactions
so much projection.
with everyone else I have ever brought on. I have nothing but love for all of them.
Arrogant.
It's so disappointing because I used to have a line.
You're a bad person.
Before last
Holding
week,
back tears.
I used to have a line I would say to people when they asked me about my job, you know, and about how the people who came on was. I used to say, I'm so lucky.
You thought it was bots? This guy's like, he's just
and now
like.
I can no longer say that. But to answer your question, never.
He thinks bots are messing. Everything's fake that's against him, right? Everything's fake. The people just railing on him in his own comments are all fake.
That's what's the beauty of
him not paying for the hotel is somehow fake. Like,
you can do
but
that.
I'm the one with issues.
And be friends.
It's called real people, man.
That's America. It's
called real people. I never said anything mean to this guy. That's the best part. He's so angry, dude.
Do you find it's like a little like embarrassing that like you went through all of this? Like you don't have to be here right now talking about all this and airing like personal stuff out, but you are, and I feel like you're being like a little bit vulnerable and honest in doing so. And do you feel like that's being reciprocated for you?
What do you mean? Is that being reciprocated?
Is Ashton like kind of meeting you halfway in terms of being vulnerable and trying to communicate honestly?
I don't want to be the judge of that. I'd like people listening to be the judge of that. It's not fair for me to judge that.
Yeah, and I just want to read it for the room. I'm glad both these guys are here talking it out.
It's too funny, man.
Let's get some hearts in the chat for them. We'll get to the next hands. I saw
that's
AI
America.
News. We'll go to you. So you had a comment. I think, and then we'll get to.
Okay, so I watched Julian's podcast first. Watched the whole thing through, and then saw the.
Should I just read comments from real people to Julian? Like that would be like the best, like, well, right?
You know, this kind
so
of
much
pisses
emotion,
me off
man.
that he had a bad interaction prior, but let me see what Danny Jones comes up with. And in between Julian and Danny's podcast, I saw Ashton's video, like quote unquote debunking everything prior to Julian's podcast even coming out. And once I just got done with Julian's podcast, and you know, Danny's podcast, and Danny started pressing you at the end about basically your debunking video, especially the one with the video of the quote unquote implosion, explosion, whatever you want to call it, today. Thermal event. And it blows my mind that you don't understand that video can be scaled. You know, you're saying pixel by pixel. If you scale pixels, they will never match. So the scale would have to be absolutely perfect. So if it was a VFX
people talking about,
that was somehow cropped or compressed so bad that it didn't have certain aspects into it, and scaled differently, and inverted, and recolored, like it doesn't make any sense
bridges.
to me. You're and the corridor guys, you know, like they spent their time just saying it. Yes, I do understand your point of him kind of skipping over some certain things, and I do get the whole, you know, if it's fake, then just recreate it. Well, then, Ashton, you should be putting up the money, put up a bounty, saying, hey, if somebody creates this within a certain time frame, here are the parameters. Must be this. Then
that was
you can
months
use
ago.
your platform since you're rising up through fame. Right? Well, you rised really high, and then now you're just burning everything, going back down.
I'm burning everything,
instead
guys.
Of doing what Danny said and collaborate with the people competing against you to come up with a resolution. I want to hear what Ashton has to say about that.
Oh, I got to respond. We had a bounty, man. That was months ago. We're past that now. I have offered for a few people to try to do it, but I mean, Julian told me he's got a major studio that's going to work on it. And they said they get it done in a couple days, but it turned out they just read off Metabunk. So I don't know, kind of weak. The reality is I think I already answered all those questions on there. The reason more specifically why that is, if you were to make that VFX, which doesn't match as a statement of fact, once again, try to match our visual effect on the one frame that it's similar to, you have to realize the person that would have done that doesn't have the luxury of comparing it to our video. So they're not going to be able to sit there and move it all around. So they would have had to accidentally make it change that VFX that is a white hot VFX with little lines coming off the side of it. They would have to accidentally turn it into exactly what we see in there. That's probably the best debunking possible.
Do you understand what Danny said or I guess the Corridor crew said by stock footage? Like, do you understand?
I understand that if you put stock footage in there, you're not going to modify it. You're just going to add it in there without having to modify it. At most, you might change the color of it, but we can see that the pixels don't match, which is why my counter argument is how many pixels match. End of debate.
That's not true. You could and would move it around if it doesn't necessarily fit.
Even when you move it around, it doesn't match.
If you want to change the skew,
that's what I'm saying.
You could and would change more things than just the color. I just want to say that as a video editor.
Of
course,
have to
acknowledge that.
And it still doesn't match. That's what they did. They actually did that. They changed the size, they changed the color, and they tried to line it up to the edge as best as they could. And even when they do that, it doesn't match. Again, as a statement of fact. And all you have to do to prove it wrong.
And it's only one frame.
Get the Corridor crew out there, have him stream it, pull up his computer from 2012, have him start moving the pixels around one by one, but he has to do it without looking at the original. He just has to try to change the pixels without looking at the original, like a monkey typing on keyboards until they create Shakespeare, right? So if you can do that, I would love to watch. I keep saying that. Nobody takes me up on the challenge. In fact, nobody still to date has answered how many pixels match. Use some of your advanced editing software. Tell me how many pixels match exactly. I want to know. And then everybody gets so mad at me, like, why won't you just believe what I say? Or why won't you just believe what Nico says? He's on the Corridor crew. You're arrogant for not believing it.
We don't want, it's not that we just want you to believe it, man. It's that we want you to take it into consideration. That's all that people are saying. Just take things into consideration of what possibilities. You're bringing this whole story to us as a possibility, right?
I'm not even part of the
other
UFO
people
community.
Bringing possibilities into the conversation, you should be thinking of those things.
Yeah, Ashton, what is your stance on those videos exactly? Are you specifically saying that what's happening is something? What's going on there exactly, according to you?
I mean, I think you can take a look at my a lot of work, or you can watch any of my podcasts. I mean, there's a lot of content to go over. You know, you can even watch Julian's. You know, we spent 6 hours in an interrogation going through it. I mean, it's all pretty much been laid out there. So I don't really want to relitigate the whole videos here on this. I'm in here for the entertainment tonight.
And so now you're shutting down because you're saying you study this for 3 months and you can't come up with your opinion on what you think the video is.
You just want the high level? Sure.
No, sure, that's fine. Yeah.
So I think there was a lithium-ion battery fire when the plane went dark. I think the plane flew for 1 hour 20 minutes, flew over Penang, was rendezvoused, probably had communication with the U.S. government. They rendezvoused at the Nicobar Islands where a witness sees the glowing orange plane, which is consistent with the lithium-ion battery fire. Then we see our videos happen. We see smoke coming out of the back of the videos. We see 2 identical videos. We see 3 what I presume to be U.S., probably reverse engineered, but whatever, advanced technology, showing room temperature superconductivity, showing what we would call teleportation, but which is really macroscopic quantum conjugation or macroscopic phase conjugation, which is essentially taking the waves and being able to synchronize them to a degree where they can obtain a macroscopic object can obtain the properties of quantum, which essentially seems like magic because what we live in is a construct, a simulation of sorts, and essentially magic.
Like magic too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it pretty much is, honestly.
So you're saying a regular size object that you can see and touch would obtain the qualities of a quantum object.
And we've proven that quantum teleportation is real. And we've proven that quantum teleportation is real. If you just look at the double slit experiment, realize that time dilation is real.
I get it, but
didn't know
quantum is a big word, right? So I just want to make sure like we're talking the same thing. So in the quantum level, that scale of things are at a probability state where they're waves. They're neither
this is pretty funny.
You know, they're just kind of loosely hanging
show?
around.
Oh wow, we got a lot of viewers right now.
In any place, some weird shit like that, right? It just these weird properties. Can you kind of dive into that a little bit? How does something obtain those qualities? How could a regular size object, and and how often is that used? Who developed that technology? Do you have any kind of ideas behind these things?
Yeah, it's a lot. So that's why I've been starting my own podcasts, because otherwise I would never do my own podcast. Too much work. But that's why I interviewed Salvatore Pius, why I interviewed Bob Grenier, who explained fractal toroidal moments, why I plan on interviewing Bob Rossi, which people don't, or Dave Rossi, sorry Dave, who people don't know, but who's incredibly intelligent. And when it comes to the science side of it, some high-level things that all come down is that a lot of it has to do with changing electrons. When electrons are driven from the equilibrium state, they will self-organize into a matter wave under the right conditions. Solid-state objects can achieve macroscopic quantum coherence. Low temperatures can allow the electrons to couple and move as one. The fractal toroidal orb moments can create a unification of forces that allows for the induction of the phase singularity that we see, that black endothermic event. The properties denote the behavior. This is what Roy D. Herbert, physicist, repeats on if you just go look at his Twitter. Quantum properties may include mass reduction. If you can reduce the mass of an object, then it doesn't take a lot of energy to move it around. It actually takes a very little bit amount of energy. Time is a fluid symmetry of itself. So faster relative flow, zero inertia equals zero gravity. This allows you to ignore gravity, like we see with the orbs. After the phase transition, this object can theoretically be placed anywhere. And while it still technically adheres to the laws of conservation of momentum, you do not have to adhere to it going in a specific direction. And it can essentially just be set down somewhere if necessary. That's pretty much my best understanding of it right now. And every day I'm learning more and more. Oh, lastly, also room temperature superconductivity could be induced by metamaterials, such as LK99, if the recipe were correct, or repeated pulse vibrations from transducers. So the idea here is there's two ways to achieve superconductivity. You can increase the rapid spin of the electrons. The other way is you can increase the vibration of them. Apparently vibration, according to Salvatore Pais, is the way that we are able to do this, at least for room temperature superconductivity. And these are used in quantum computers and quantum microchips, which turns out the 20 Freescale semiconductors on board may have been involved with. Okay, is that good enough?
Cool, yeah, and I don't want to hold this space forever, so maybe like 30 more minutes, 20 more minutes. If we could just get through your questions, just you could ask it real fast. There's a lot of hands, and then, yeah, probably around like 20 minutes or so. I think, well, Zeli, let's get your last thoughts, and then we'll get to Ulrich, Thomas, Smith, and thanks again, Ashton and Julian for being here.
Okay, I have two last questions.
Yeah, where's TJ? TJ, please verify,
Julian, specifically. You touched on it, TJ touched on it as well. This cockiness or this attitude that people don't seem to like, not only within the UFO space, but in general, there's some people who are cocky AF and people seem to tolerate that for whatever reason. Are we saying that it's because these people have X number of years experience?
Nobody can question
or they
can never question the science, honestly.
That say they have this qualifications, and because they're cocky, then we can take that. But when somebody does something and they don't have those pieces of paper, they don't have X number of years experience, then that's something that we're brushing against. Is this what's happening? It's a bit confusing for the rest of us who don't follow how y'all are doing this as to when it's okay for people to be cocky and abrasive and when it's not. And I have another question.
Inspirational speaker scientist.
No, that's a great question. And I think, one of the points of this interview wasn't just to figure out, what the standard of etiquette or whatever should be. I think it was to kind of figure out the, I hate to say it, but like the not the drama, but the interactions between Julian, Danny, and Ashton. We were trying to humanize it because it was getting to a fever pitch. It wasn't helping anybody. It became a thing of got a little mythical. And hearing it now, it's really easy to see where the wires got crossed, in my opinion. And it's also easy to see that there could be at points of this, not necessarily Julian and Danny here, but at points of Ashton's research and presentations, there have been some very interesting interactions, very interesting efforts made that, kind of add to the mystique of this, I think, the case on the basic level. But yeah, as far as etiquette goes, kind of comes secondary to the evidence. That's my opinion. If you're,
I'll add, Corbell was on stage, totally shitting on Stan Friedman, and, people don't ever talk about his etiquette. You know what I mean?
Wait, what are you talking about?
When on stage and it was Stan Friedman's last interview before he died, and he was just being kind of a dick to him. I don't see those.
Yeah, I think people need to learn about quantum and macro. It seems pretty sweet to me.
29 palms or
something.
Hey,
LTB. Hey, everybody in chat. Whoa.
But I will say, though, could totally.
TJ, the people want to know. Are you in here?
But also,
TJ?
if Julian is kind of lying
Ashton could have been nicer to Julian.
I could understand why he'd be fuck this fake niceness,
It's too funny, dude. Too funny.
I thought I would go ahead and explain something to I think Ashton said something that just kind of flew over everyone's head because it was really scientific-y and it probably just seemed like nonsense to most people like me that were listening. But it's I don't know. Should I break it down?
I don't think Julian invited Keemstar. I think he just saw that there was drama and jumped on in.
And Ashton maybe, and then Logan, I'd love your breakdown. It's like the wee hours of the morning, and I was actually going to ask you to record that I can listen to it when I'm awake.
Yeah, Zile, I wanted to answer the question. I didn't entirely understand. Can you just rephrase it a little bit for me?
Sure. Within this field and other fields, there seems to be a very high level of cockiness.
Early on, we dismantled this idea of experts
the way people speak to other people.
People that have authority, right? I learned early on that how many letters you have next to your name, what your whatever your
and it's all good.
Supposed credibility is, doesn't mean anything. Nothing at all.
Ashton is allegedly these things. I don't know anybody. I'm not defending
the evidence you present, the way you present yourself, and how you present that evidence. That's how I determine people's credibility.
Things to the
point I'm very good at it.
You've even come on this show.
If I have any special abilities, that's telling people who are phonies and people who aren't.
Come on,
very
haven't
quickly.
Spoken about the evidence. They're just talking about what he has done. So at what point is that acceptable? Is it when people have been in an industry X number of years? Is it because they have some sort of qualification piece of paper? So what exactly is going on? Because the rest of us really don't understand, and we're just here for the UAPs.
Yeah. So
there's no experts in this technology.
My personal
if they are, they're owned by the DoD.
You should shut people down if they don't have a ton of experience, or if they have a ton of experience. I think you should.
Questions we're too afraid to ask. Am I following you on Twitter? Tell me what your Twitter handle is. We can try to work it out. I'm pretty busy, but we can figure it out.
But as far as cockiness goes, I think it's a feel thing, and I think it's to the extent of where that goes. So if people start attacking people,
this guy Julian's
online,
still profiting off of the tragedy while sending me messages about how hurtful it is to the families.
Ever in the history of my podcast,
he's the only one profiting.
And I've had, we've had videos that go viral, and then people make, response videos that are attacking on it. I always stay.
Do I have awareness of my error rate?
All, people are talking about it. That's cool.
I'm sure I get stuff wrong.
I don't agree with things said on the show,
but then I correct it.
I've never dealt with it where
get better in terms of the science. Is probably the thing I'm the worst about.
And I think that there is a line.
Good news is nobody really knows how the science works.
Sure, shit is a horrible feeling.
Question.
To have that happen and to have to respond to it in public, and that's always
TJ is too busy updating his IMDb to include tonight's space in his
we all watch football and stuff.
Poor TJ, man.
What people first notice, so it gets ugly.
But he brought it on himself, man.
I think cockiness is not a good trait. If people aren't being a dick online, then
so how can there be light if there's an endothermic event? Most likely because the electrons around it get energized. But Bob Greenier was kind of presenting the idea that if it was annihilation, the electrons might
what I'm
shoot out.
It's kind of interesting, Julian, and maybe you're not aware.
But Ashton Corridor has 6 million subs. Doesn't that mean they're experts?
First of all, somebody, either you or Danny or TJ,
I have another. We're gonna make a bunch of memes today, guys.
It's not a monolith of a thing. There are many of us who are here for the UAPs. So just to put that out there, and many of us don't engage in some of the activities that have been said. So that's it. But what I'm trying to get at is, we're having a conversation here. Your podcast was X minutes or X hours long. It took whatever amount of time to put together and whatever. We're having a conversation with
Can I put images on here?
Fuller than most rooms when we talk about the UAPs.
What was his name? TJ
we
something?
We are talking about the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes, and we've spent so much time talking about it. You yourself have said this has never come out before when you've been dealing with other guests that you didn't get along. So within the UFO and UAP space, this seems to be common ground. And I'm just trying to figure out, is maybe this is part of it, maybe the truth coming to the surface, maybe there are things we have to examine before we are ready to examine UAPs. But even
this is why everyone's melting down. Look at this. Holy crap.
It doesn't really make sense to somebody like me who's not involved directly or has a thing or has a dog in the fight. So to speak.
I can't respond to all these messages. Holy crap, there's a lot.
If Ashton's information is incorrect, it's going to come out. And if Ashton's
chat, you're going to see whoever I was messaging there. I didn't even see.
Going to come out. So why aren't we just focused on freaking finding out if it's correct or not correct and move on from that.
This lady's smart.
That is exactly what I think we should be doing. And also, I want to retweet something you said there. You said this is not a monolith. And as someone who is very much outside of this and is getting a crash course on it from Tupacabra and some other people explaining all these different communities in here, I can tell you, just on hearing those conversations, it's obvious it's not a monolith. There's negatives and there's positives. And what I don't want to see as a layman here, someone on the outside, is I don't want to see something that I am very interested in this case being UFOs and UAPs and seeing where these disclosures or whatever they are go.
I think some people do want to say I made the videos, which is really silly. It's almost as silly as claiming I'm Russian disinformation.
And the community explode
TJ
what
Allard,
it is.
yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of that,
next
for example, and something else happened with crypto. I think
guys, I mean, you can't pay for this level of entertainment,
folks. The
crypto
community became its own worst enemy and actually destroyed a lot from within rather than even just the many attacks that were coming from the outside, obviously. And so I don't want to see this fighting. I don't want to see people making drama out of stuff. And selfishly, I don't want to deal with this in my job. I got more important things to do, you know.
McWest. Yes, it has to be McWest. So, sorry, go back.
You know, I agree. I think we have to let facts win, and if it were up to me, that's what we would do. I normally would never
start Corridor Crew. Could be Corridor Crew. I think Corridor Crew might be better.
I feel a need to defend myself, and I'm sorry that
it should be Corridor
happened, and you know, hopefully this never happens again.
Yeah, Corridor Crew for the last one.
Thank you for
Thanks, Julian. Could you get your last point out?
I wanted to put their pictures on here as well, but
thanks for acknowledging
it seems like
that,
it's too much
Julian.
work.
And just on the monolith topic, if you ever want to come back, just maybe interacting with more of a diverse group of people to understand better what is and isn't happening, and maybe focusing on the actual UAPs and UFOs and the information, so we can actually get some answers. I think the majority of us are just here for answers and the UAP and the understanding. I think that might help a lot of us. Thank you so much.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you, Zila.
I can't raise my hand, but hand raised.
I can't wait till they watch my stream and just rage about my stream.
Thank you. Okay, so
the
first thing I wanted to say was, I think this is kind of answering AI News a little bit and some other people. And this is in terms of the VFX debunk. So while I appreciate Ashton's like how many pixels match thing, that personally to me has never been super convincing. The thing that I find more convincing is that there's 4 frames in the Regenon videos that show the explosion. There's 8 frames in the VFX pyro asset that they say matches. The 1 frame you see all the time, that matches really pretty well. 2 of the frames match reasonably well. 1 of the frames just doesn't really match at all. So if you were going to say that asset is what was used to fake that, it can't be exclusively that asset. It has to be some other things as well. I think it's very possible to fake that asset or to fake that effect, but I don't think that the asset that has been presented fully explains it despite that 1 frame matching.
Wait, why can't I paste it on
So in my mind, that is a better debunk of that particular debunk.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Great points, Megan. Thank you.
And then the last thing I would say just real quick is just that to Ashton, I would love to talk about the stereoscopic 3D thing a little bit more. My experience with Ashton was that he was like maybe a little bit of a jerk to me when I first brought it up, but understandably so, because he's been bombarded by people from all sides. I get that. But that I did make some headway, you know, and that he was open-minded about that. So I think that this idea that he's not at all open-minded or whatever isn't really fair. But, you know, that understandably he's been bombarded, so it's sometimes hard to get to. But I would love to talk about that with you more, Ashton. I'm working on a document. It's taking a long time. Okay, that's the end.
Real quick, Megan, did you say that like the asset was only 4 frames, but it's 8 frames in the video?
The asset has 8 frames, and the video has 4 frames. Of those 4 frames, 1 of them, the one you see all the time, matches really well. 2 of them match reasonably well, and 1 of them just doesn't match at all.
And how many frames is the explosion?
I should have horizontal flipped it. No,
it's just 8.
In the thermal video, it's 4 frames. 4 frames in the Regenon thermal video.
Regicytonon.
Yeah, in the Regicytonon video, it's 4 frames. In the asset, that they're saying he's created, there's 8. Yep.
One time I had a friend. He was convinced his video online was real.
Yes. And yes, chat.
I'm trying to remember what it was. Dude, look
Sorry, what? You're really muffled, Tupa.
Am I muffled, everybody else?
A little bit.
Okay, my bad.
Definitely.
If only. People don't want to be fooled. They don't want to be fooled, period. And people will look for any reason to look at a video and go, okay, I don't need to believe in that. I'll write that off. When you're looking at something unbelievable, it's super easy. That's the natural reaction you want to do, right? So, you know, I wouldn't blame anybody for seeing one frame of a lot, because right off the bat, it's almost like a meme itself.
Can we take his picture?
Where it becomes a reason not to have to make your mind go there, right? And that's not not to say that's something you apply to every single case or every single debunk, but that is the natural way, right? If you see something that's unbelievable, you immediately look for the wire, right? The reason you can write it off. But let's get over to, is it Ulrich? And then we'll go from there.
Guys, I'm cracking myself up.
Ulrich and Thomas.
Hey, so like, it's so hard for me to frame this in one way where I'm like immediately not tuned out by the other person. I'm just going to be like completely honest, and obviously my perspective is not the ground truth. Julian, like, I've been listening to your podcast for a while, and I'm going to keep on listening to your podcast because you have interesting guests.
You know, that's not a good start.
And I like what you bring out of people. And I saw the one with Ashton, and first of all, like, both of you are in a really difficult place here, right? Because like Ashton still needs to keep the possibility open to this video being debunked, but then you also need to kind of keep the video up to maintain like your credibility that you're willing to like deal with the evidence. And so like both of you are in a tough spot, and I want to say like what's unusual about the UFO space.
We're making memes.
Is that
we didn't really do anything productive today, guys.
Seem to be more capable.
I'll be honest,
of tolerating an uncomfortable conversation. This to me like stands out compared to other spaces. And Julian, this is just my perspective. I need to be honest with you. Like, I can totally understand why some people say like, oh yeah, Ashton looks like an asshole, but I can't possibly imagine that I wouldn't come across exactly in the same way, because most of the things that I've witnessed is Ashton saying, all right, well, I disagree with you. You're entitled to your perspective. And there's two types of arrogance. Arrogance used to mean expecting somebody to treat you higher than your status would like justify. But nowadays, the definition, the actual dictionary definition has changed. There's a new one. It's just somebody else viewing you as arrogant. And if you actually are comfortable with other people disagreeing you or viewing you as an asshole, in other words, when you don't expect that anybody view you with a certain way, that now is included as the new definition of arrogance.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just need to say,
Ulrich, like, yeah, this guy's legit.
Julian, like, please keep the videos up. I'm going to keep on listening to your show. And I personally, like, I'm not trying to collapse into
He's never deleted those videos, guys.
Truth regarding like
he's never deleted those videos.
Is this video legit or not? I think the evidence deserves.
I think if he cared about the families,
and I'm
like
also
he claims,
not so
he would delete the video.
On right now, like how debunked is the debunked of the debunked video? Because for me, it's not what Ashton is doing or what Ashton is suggesting or presenting is not just an alternative Occam's razor truth. For me, it's more about the dark data. Some of us might remember the Donald Rumsfeld quote of like, there's known knowns, unknown knowns, known unknowns. But we're living in an age where we're realizing it's actually about the unknown knowns. It's the thing of like
590,000 people listening, guys.
Actually been in our face the entire time. That's already proven, not necessarily is the truth, but about a lie we absolutely
Steve G, I don't know who you are, but you're gone.
That's something you can say about the entire UAP space, and that's something you can say
concern
about
trolling is like the worst.
You know,
you feign that you care about something.
Here. For me, Ashton's evidence already proves in a scientific sense
arrogance
from
is
an
my crime,
evidentiary
guys.
perspective.
What's the guys? What's
we have to reject the null hypothesis.
What's the sentence for arrogance?
That this plane just ran out of fuel. We lost tracking of it around 1840 UTC, and it's somewhere in the ocean. Now, people can disagree with that perspective, but this moving target of evidence, kind of like intelligence or AI has been a moving target for 100 years, is kind of like the hypocrisy we see with Neil deGrasse Tyson, or when people say like, oh, where's the evidence of the UAP? Oh, we only have thousands of years and empirical data and sensor evidence that there's something that's more than just like a psychological thing in somebody's head, that there's actual evidence. And,
I'm
all I'm
posting
saying
this
is,
to my Discord.
This is
I probably won't post it on Twitter, but
and I think these conversations are important.
Funny.
But we shouldn't just focus on like, if you don't invest in the Occam's razor truth that Ashton is suggesting.
Could this guy look more confident while being 100% wrong?
This is likely what happened with these orbs. There's still incredible evidence saying like, we can't accept the regular.
The part where he says you should. The part where he says that you shouldn't feel bad about being wrong with this is like, God damn, man. These people
of your longtime podcast.
Wowzers.
And I'm honestly siding more with Ashton here, but I'm not going to close my eyes if something comes out that this is debunked, and we all need to keep our eyes open. If we end up really finding, like, we may never get proof of this video.
That's the one.
But if we right now crowdsource and reverse engineer this tech, if it really is just a rearrangement of Maxwellian equations, like many people have implicated over decades, then we might end up saying like, all right, maybe the video's legit, maybe it isn't, but clearly this tech is possible, and that changes the whole story as well.
Got him.
Those are some great points, Ulrich. I recommend everyone give him a follow, especially if you like spaces. I've heard him only give like pretty solid takes on things.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ulrich. Thanks, man. That was awesome, man. Thanks.
Oh, shit.
Sweet. And yeah, we're going to try and close out here sooner, so if we could kind of get through kind of quick, guys. I'm sorry. Thomas, feel free to go a little longer. I know you've been here for a while. But we're going to go Thomas, Smith, Fletcher, Mistress, Sonic.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Coming through.
Hey, how y'all doing? Hey, I think the first thing of why Ashton's getting so much attention, I genuinely think, I know this is my opinion and speculation, but I think it's an anomaly. And I think evaluating it with VFX and everything like that, it's great, but when something is an anomaly, it's difficult to be able to view when you've never seen it before. The second thing is with the whole VFX thing and trying to use that as, someone that's an expert. Speaking, former Marine myself, I had first sergeants and staff sergeants.
Are fun, guys.
I've seen it firsthand in combat. Expect them to
have this
high level of expectancy of what to deal with the situation, and they failed. And we had lower ranking people
get
with
upset
less
when they feel
experience
stupid, but they need to get over it
that
and
stepped up to the plate and dealt with it. I know it's an extreme situation, but all I'm saying is don't always expect people who have these positions to be completely competent in everything.
This is only the beginning.
And third thing is Ash, I wanted to ask you, I thought was really interesting.
It's only beginning.
The individual who leaked this footage, do you think it's even possible in the future to even ask this guy, if we can ever find him, about this whole situation? That's all I got.
Oh, thanks, Thomas. Yeah, if you watch, I think a lot of the podcasts I've revealed that I did reach out to him, actually. So we were able to figure out who the leaker was. So again, if you're a debunker, go ahead and figure out who the person is who faked these videos, bring the source material, because you should at least be able to do that. We were actually able to figure out who the person who's leaked them from the evidence. And I did call him. He hung up when I called him. I didn't want to harass him. I don't think anyone else should harass him. I did contact his lawyer as well and talked to a clerk from the lawyer's office on a Sunday. Weirdly, they called me back. But they didn't. The lawyer never called me back. Instead, what happened was they sent me an email, which looked like marketing email, but they haven't sent me anything else. Actually, they sent me 2 total emails, but the first one was from like a seminar that happened like a week and a half before the email came. That was about court martials and the implication of the new law that was coming through for whistleblowers, which I think just got nixed actually like today. And that's really sucks because maybe that was a message on them saying like, hey, this law could have changed the circumstances. But I think the reality is the only way that person's going to be able to speak, if they even want to speak. I mean, they spent 6 years plus in prison if they're the person who leaked these videos, right? Imagine the psychological toll on somebody. That they need a full pardon from the president. That's the only way. Because they had that prison sentence, that plea deal that they took, there's no way they're legally allowed to talk about the videos. And based on the fact that they came out with a statement saying like how damaging it was for their country, my personal opinion is that they thought these were UFOs, that they were looking at, aliens, non-human intelligence. And that's why they thought they weren't doing damage to the country. And I think that later on they were told as they were being charged that, no, you didn't just leak UFO videos. You leaked our highly classified technology that could put us at risk to China and Russia, etc. Which is why I've had my own qualms about disclosing the videos in general. Because if they are real, then I might be damaging my own country, risking a lot, frankly. Not for me personally, but like for the country, for our safety. And so, yeah, that's kind of the long and short of the answer for you there. Good question, Thomas.
Ashton, you should include, or I don't know if you have, is that included in your congressional letter, like just a blanket amnesty from the president for whoever the leaker is?
It came after, so that's why it's not in there. I was thinking about doing a different version of it because a lot of the information there is out of date. Actually, even the science is out of date. I was still referencing a wormhole back then. And that just, again, goes to show how much the evidence and the investigation has progressed. We have found so much more evidence since that letter was put out that basically proves it has to be Edward C. Lynn. The time frame now is like 1 month. He was assigned to the squadron February 2014. He got reassigned March 25th, 2014, right after MH370. Investigation began April 2nd, 2014. He was caught with the flight manifest from search and rescue operation in May, which was just a month after that. His next assignment after he gets reassigned is the brig. So they reassign him probably because they just suspected him, right? Because he got caught from a Citrix session, so they knew somebody leaked it, and probably didn't take them a long period of time to narrow it down to him. I mean, that time frame of just a couple weeks is exactly what I would have thought from somebody who recorded this on a Citrix session. And then they have to build a case against him. They catch him with the flight manifest, probably from MH370. And yeah, I mean, I think that I can't imagine it being anyone else. Like I said on Julian Dory's podcast, I said that if anyone out there can come up with somebody who fits the bill better than this guy, please do. I think it's impossible.
So I think that evidence of Edward C. Lynn, if there were truth here and something were leaked, that was the most impressive find that I heard from my seat. I mean, that obviously there's a ton there. That guy would fit the profile,
strong because of the evidence, man.
If we were looking at it that way, I think that's a good find.
Thanks, Julian. Appreciate that.
I love that, and I love that interaction. Hell yeah. So last hands, and like I said, I recommend including that in the updated letter because that just has a bar in itself. Like we're requesting a pardon for this dude. Like
yeah, it just got real all feels up in here, guys.
I think Smith. Then
now I don't want to be mean to Julian anymore.
Smith, and then so Smith.
Yeah, hold on real quick. Hey, Red Panda, are we gonna stop letting people up? Should I just stop approving people, or are we just gonna be it? The rest of the people up
there?
Yeah,
we want the truth and we can handle it, guys.
I don't know. I guess we could let people
my Discord's
like
currently closed, but it's by invite only. So if it's somebody I trust, I'll let them in.
Go ahead.
So yeah, the anomaly is why people get so butthurt.
Here we go. 0013 Eastern. Danny Jones, Julian Dorian, Ashton Forbes, MH370 chat with Tupa Cabra, with your host Red Panda Koala. UFO history and news documentaries free on YouTube. Click that link. Hey, repost the space. It's recorded. Yeah, I want to say I was listening to the space earlier and enjoying it. And then I'm like, what is this going on? Because this Concrete podcast, which is like #1 podcast I listen to. Okay, so I run over there. I'm listening to this guy. And I'm like, what? This guy Ashton, man, he's like king of the normies, and I mean that with so much respect. I ran to his Twitter. I'm like, dude. Okay, I followed him. Well, he followed me. I'm like, why you follow me, bro? But thanks. So I followed you back, and then I was like, okay, that came full circle with this other guy comes in here with his Emmys and shit. And I think it really speaks to like the future of media, news, X, info, all this stuff, right?
Like
the amount of work you've done, Ashton's really impressive.
This is big. We should listen to this.
I think that no matter what, people agree there's something fishy, and there's some, it's super interesting stuff, good conversation, and it makes for good content. So it's really good for the community. It came full circle for me back here to the community. I kind of skirted around the UFO community. UAP made some friends out here.
Maybe
really
laughed on him.
Appreciate it.
This guy's nice.
I'll catch you out there. Thanks for listening.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Smith.
Thanks, Smith.
Next we'll get to Lev.
That was amazing, by the way.
King of the Normies, that's my new thing.
Thank you guys for allowing me to speak. I just want to make a few points, just a couple of minutes. So, look, I have had a look at
Hermes, ready for the YouTube size of guys.
Provided, and
we need to talk.
It is. I have to admit that it is very thorough. I personally think that the way he's gone about it is that I think he's been the biggest skeptic about this. He looked at the videos, and this is my mindset. He's looked at the videos and said, look, in order to so-called make sure that this is accurate, he's gone back, look at the timelines, the evidences. I think he's been the biggest skeptic, more than Mick West as well. But what has his investigation has led him to actually join the dots and actually.
I really want to post that meme.
The way he comes across, the confidence comes from the fact that, all the evidence. Look at the evidence on his the timeline on his thing. I was very, very pleasantly surprised that a person done such thorough investigation. And I'm just purely looking at from an investigation perspective. Have a look at the investigation. I think he's been the biggest critic of the so-called timelines, and trying to piece together systematically what actually happened. Right. So this is not something he's conjured up or something, and I really respect him for that. Again, and I also looked at Julian's thing, his podcast as well. He's done a great job, and I think we all need to agree. Just by looking at one VFX or something, you cannot look at it in isolation. You have to look at the holistic evidences that which actually make sense. So I personally think looking at, I've actually spent, trust me, I've spent hours and hours and hours. And just want to add one other thing before I, give up the mic. Is
questions?
that I understand the science, and the science makes sense that the UAPs are real. The orbs that were identified in that particular video, it obeys the laws of physics.
I just want to listen to this talk.
And I think we want more information. I think Salvatore Pais is the one whose theories closely match the technology. So have a look at that, and have a look at the evidences from a holistic perspective. If any doubts you've got, look at the systematic points that he's been the biggest skeptic. I think bigger than Mick West as well. But then he's actually gone and actually done the research to debunk, or just to make sure that he's covered all the bases. I think we have to respect him for that. And I personally want to salute him for the sheer amount of hours he spends selfless. He doesn't earn a dime from this, but he just wants to get down to the truth. So I respect him for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Levi. I think those are some really, honestly, great points.
Nice words.
And the data that Ashton has produced I've never seen anything like it. We look at these cases, like I've been in spaces for so long, talking to people who like live near Cash Landrum and who know people, all this stuff, and that's great. But never have I seen an investigation into a case where you get this many points of data. It's all just based off somebody's book, from somebody else's story, from some other anecdote, and it's like, okay, but here we have something in our time. It's modern time.
Go ahead, Hermes. You can do it.
The most modern evidence we have.
Okay, I got you.
It's
a question. You can, if you don't want to have your thing in the chat.
Yeah, that's what I want to celebrate too about Ashton. Not to be like totally like dick riding or anything, but he's put in work that would be great to see other people do on other cases. And we have seen some targeting going on. And I just want to forget to other people. Julian, I probably came off strong to you with my post and whatnot. I just saw a lot of people retweeting it.
Oh, wait, that's
but like,
my own tweet.
Even me having this discussion with you, or like bringing this up, like
27,000 views on this already,
too, right? And anybody who's in any kind of content creation, let alone like UFO like shit, where it's been covered up for decades,
really posted anything today,
there's going to be fishiness that goes on, and anybody who's trying to make content just needs to kind of be aware of that. And not saying like you
really
totally
haven't done it. This is like the first day I've posted the least amount of content.
So-and-so said this to me right before, and that put you in a headspace, and I'll be the first to admit Ashton could be kind of a dick sometimes. I think he owns it too. But I want you to know that like I'm not trying to like tear you down, Julian, by any means. Like it genuinely is coming from a person like
it's all in the game, yeah.
It's all good. Hell yeah. And I mean, I want to address the elephant in the room real quick before we get to the hands. Obviously, this isn't my normal account. Why do I have to
why is he on a second account?
Under this random ass account? Because my first one was struck down with a false claim. Very weird that would happen.
There was nothing false about it.
Nothing.
Like you got permanent banned or what? Tell us about it, Tupa.
Carlos did the claim.
Carlos, thanks, Carlos. You outed yourself again. So yeah, it's a claim against a post where there was a recording of King Milkfart admitting that he made up a false accusation of a sexual assault, using just a random someone with the same name as his target, and posted it. And his excuse for it was, well, the guy didn't deny it. That was up to him. And I commented, what was my comment exactly? Falsely accusing somebody of rape just to smear them publicly is crazy. That's what I said. and that's what got struck down. And I think it is crazy. I stand by that. I don't think
temporary or permanent.
I think what's crazy is your obsession with.
I actually think that the striking that down, calling attention to something like that, right, is important, especially in this community.
This is spicy.
And to strike it down, with the false claim, is
all
putting
in the game.
more people at risk of this behavior. If you think accusing somebody of rape falsely online just to smear them is something that should be done, I'm sorry. I'm not going to fuck with you. I think that's crazy. I think there's
and that's why I like to talk about too, because Ashton takes it on
tomorrow,
the chin, right?
Though,
but we've seen a lot of people who they get hit with that same thing and they just leave. And think about all the good work he's done and
Stephen
like getting the Lynn connection and reaching out, all the shit he's done, spending money of his own.
He might be
like that could have all just gone away if he didn't have such a strong
where's
chin.
Keemstar?
You know what I mean?
Keemstar, he never called. He never texted.
Yeah. I was told.
We don't judge anybody ever ahead of time.
To me, by
I'm
someone who's in the community getting
so
attacked.
we'll see.
I didn't listen to him. I thought that was just hater shit. And then come to find out, strong chin is really important here, and staying the course. Did he get permanently banned? Kind of like what you want to believe. If people are going to come at you hard, it becomes part of the shield you have.
They mass reported too.
And if it encourages more research and more open conversation with that research, then that's great. Right, but if it shuts it down,
Greer is talking about stuff that's very similar to what we're revealing,
especially in public forums when this is being presented.
That's what I think is pretty interesting.
They want to feel like
people want to feel. Yeah, that's about that should be the tagline for this space. People want to feel.
It's exciting for everyone to see this happen live.
A lot of feelings up in here,
and having a little say. It gets people kind of going, and it really helps with the support, right? But again, the evidence should fall where it falls, right? Charisma and charismatic leaders is not.
Does it not sort people based on followers?
We have enough, right? Let's just get to the data, and I kind of like that you have real thorns on you, Ashton, to a degree that's reasonable, but still offensive, but reasonable. It's not fucking crazy. No one's gonna strike you down for this. You know what I mean? You're just kind of hard to agree with, I think, to a certain degree, and but you are here taking on the chin.
Yeah, I am genuine though.
So that's whatever. Cool. But yeah, I just wanted to say that.
And I just want to reiterate a beautiful moment we had was Julian saying like that stuff about Edward Lynn was very compelling and was hard work, and Ashton being like, thank you for that. Like, it's the beauty of spaces, right? I feel like hopefully that even just that one little interaction will help make their little whatever relationship or not they have kind of ease back. I don't know.
It's our relationship.
Mistress, then Sonic Gravity.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me up to speak. And
we almost have
Julian, I'm a fan of your podcast. Actually, I saw the stuff you did with James Fox, and
Infowars did a thing too. I wonder if it's still at the top.
Thank you, brother. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
You'd think for a guy who thinks it's all fake,
like, why is he? Why is like, I happen to be in contact with someone who is also in contact with Ashton. And we had a conversation last night.
Talks about me.
Everybody in relation to a bunch of things. She was kind of drunk at the time, Ink Pixie. Ashton and we both know her real name. The military and a bunch of people within the Pentagon, they know her real name as well.
Thank you very much.
And
we've always been able to super chat. I set it up like a few days ago. I didn't know what it did, but it apparently allows you guys to donate money. So that's pretty sweet.
I heard mentioned.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that, man.
Actually,
hey, Shai Keenan, hell yeah. Shai Keenan, I just want to let you know I appreciate the stuff you said.
I am not
I've always enjoyed our chats, and I said that in the chat while you were talking.
To me
so
that
thank
she
you,
was
Shai
very
Keenan.
scared, and she said she knows where MH370 is, and she was so emotional that.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Again, very appreciate the donations.
To the ground, and
we're using that money to upgrade our production.
She was in absolute tears. So
Big Pixie was what?
I'm hoping she's okay. But the thing that's worrying me is
what was I Googling?
That I feel like we're going to get.
You guys got me sidetracked.
The truth, but I don't feel like that is going to be.
Someone joined the panel and asked TJ for career advice and get in the industry. No, man, we'd sit here for like an hour.
And the other thing that she said was, she's worried for everyone because, like, Tupa, you've spoken about this, how people are being, targeted and harassed, and accounts are getting banned left and right, harassed up the wazoo.
Oh, we were going to look at Infowars.
Ridiculous tactics, illegal tactics.
Oh, we're still at the top.
You can see it in real time, too.
We're still at the top of Infowars from 2 days ago.
Yeah, you can
still
see
trending
it in
at the top.
real time. Exactly.
Holy crap.
Good.
Even though it's 2 days ago, we're still trending. We're trending above the fake terrorist
America,
attack.
But around the world who want the truth. And
damn, we're still trending.
I have a feeling, like
that's wild.
That cut has been made in the military.
It's gonna be hard to keep quiet now, guys.
And it's gonna start bleeding out, and it's not gonna be pretty.
Is that Alex Jones?
And I just worry for everyone involved because. Yeah, like
you see it as kind of like an inconvenience.
This isn't too bad. I mean, it's right-wing stuff, but it's not.
It's going to be kind of awful.
It's not.
Well, yeah. To borrow a word from Luel Elizondo, it's going to be somber. I feel.
Burning Bridges is a great song.
Like that was the impression I got.
Yeah. Once again, Sean, thank you very much for that.
I also want to that way.
That's a really good point to leave that on. I want to get over to the rest of the hands. Before I do, I want to mention that I shared a link.
I just want to repeat that if people need their money, you don't need to give it to me. You don't need to give it to this case. We'll make it work without it. But I do obviously appreciate all the donations, and I will give a shout out if I see them. So thank you very much.
No, dude, I appreciate you, the work you do. Like, it's crazy who you're talking to, and it's also like just refreshing. I like.
Yeah, we're spending our Fridays in the conspiracy world
of topics that I think a lot of everybody in ufology should vibe with. UFO Twitter definitely vibes with.
What was the motivation for the appearance?
And yeah, so there's a link up there with it. We've talked about Ashton.
We're all conspiracy.
I didn't even think Daniels was that bad, actually. I was kind of surprised about how negative the comments were towards him.
You guys don't follow it.
I did not think it would be that crazy.
Super dope to be in this.
Although I was confident. I knew we weren't going to get dunked on.
With people who talk outside of.
Oh, Ghost 915 motorcycling. Keep up the good work, brother. You're on the right path. Thank you very much.
We get, the more ideas we get, and frankly, the more
never gonna quit.
We have is good.
Never gonna quit.
People start canceling each other for thinking outside the box. When they start to utilize tactics that show clear lack of character, right? Then it's like, well, what are we doing? What the hell is
you have to be pretty open-minded to accept all this, especially because the TV lied so much about this case.
They're not going to run this shit like that, I don't think.
It was kind of surprising how easy it was to uncover the conspiracy.
We should definitely be able to keep it open and make sure that we can.
Does a troll live under a burned bridge? Emily, you are on fire today.
That's what Spaces is about.
You are on fire.
Like, it really broke the paradigm with how this was being controlled online through 280 characters at a time, and through this kind of inclusion in the inner circle, outer circle thing.
I got to do some work.
It was just memes. It was nonstop assault. And Spaces, people can really hear you. Podcasts like Julian's and Danny's, people can really hear you. The production quality you guys put into it, the passion you guys show for it, it shows. It shows. I saw you just got like a new studio. Like, everything's like, it's well deserved. You know what I mean? You guys really put your heart and soul into it, and I think the same thing goes for.
I hope I never get a big head about this stuff, man.
Presentations differ. You guys' presentation style.
Yeah, I put Ashton's channel up in the nest too, and so did I put Danny's stuff in there. So go, everyone listen to the space, go like and follow all these people.
Yeah, I don't know how it is.
Also, there's a guy, I don't know if he's in here still,
honestly,
but he commented there in the thread. He said, "I'll put 20 grand on so-called Julian's friend or friends in CGI that can replicate, I guess, the video, and give him 2 years instead of 5 months to do it." So, I mean, I think that's true. Being serious.
That's a long time. Yeah, we only need 70 days, though.
I honestly think that it's it's a betting on the corridor crew's really smart because of the work they put into stuff. You know what I mean? Honestly, but TBD. Some of their stuff is flawless.
They're gonna create something.
Some of it's like, it's getting there.
That's probably what they'll do next, right? They'll try to create something. Honestly, but yeah, thanks a lot, Ghost.
Someone brought up earlier that not everything they do is like to that perfection. But
I mean, we'll find an error in there whatever they make.
You should get them in a space. That would be so good.
As long as it stayed cordial, I think it'd be super dope. Those guys are classy as hell.
I'm not interested in listening to the corridor
crew. Those are the two guys. That's the crew. Sorry, not two guys, but that's the crew I would have picked to look at this video. And there's a couple other ones.
For sure. And I think, Ray, didn't you say like they were still kind of even after it all? They were kind of like, these are pretty interesting videos, right?
Oh yeah.
Tipa.
Yeah, that's right. Nico said that. He said, look, these don't fault yourself. He said, if you wanted to look into these or you were not even take. He didn't even say if you were taking.
If this is the level of seriousness you take,
you thought these were real. Like these are very
looking
well
at
done.
Real videos.
There's just a couple key things.
This is the level of seriousness, then I'm not really interested.
Are CGI, you know. And
hey, look, we're looking at real videos. Let's make fun of them with tinfoil hats on.
It's the movement that sells it, right?
Say what, Logan?
It was like the movement. He says like the movement is like really well done. He said that's what sells it.
It's our favorite guy.
Like the clean movement of the plane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's sit here and watch videos and make fun of them and pretend like we debunked them.
Sees it's compelling. It's like, you know, we just want to either
and then put stupid pictures and videos and stuff.
They don't have to think about it. Because that's how
so
weird
funny.
it is. That's my opinion. Super, super weird.
This is the people. This is the major studio.
So yeah, let's get to the last scans and then we'll probably wrap up here.
Yep. I was going to say there's a Corridor Crew episode coming out shortly, I guess, next week or something like that, where, you know, this case kind of continues on through there.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah. Who's
doesn't
next?
really matter.
Sonic, Fletcher,
these guys say, unfortunately. They put pictures of the Bigfoot and ghosts, cartoon ghosts.
Let me raise my hand. Ashton, I just want to tell you that I looked at your video and everything. I'm convinced, like I believe it 100%.
These were already authenticated.
But when I hear you talking
about
the origin of the video, I think, and I'm not a CGI person or anything, so right to a hammer, everything's a nail. I'm not really convinced like by those kinds of analyses because, like, I think if
no one's gonna find Regicide, I don't think.
The physics and everything has to follow the picture, and I don't think that anybody would fake as crazy a picture of that. The way it just kind of flashes and it's gone, with like no debris. And when I think about like, free body diagrams of the physics of like, what happens to the ailerons and all, the little, parts of the plane that are, how does everything like implode like that? One thing though that I'm concerned about when I listen to your
TJ's like, I think we like him the most.
So I believe it's 100% real. But I think the proof is in sort of the metadata of the capture, like, whoever, capture, obviously this guy's in jail or something. I mean, like, to me, that's like, okay, it's real. Like, you know what I mean? Like nobody CGIs.
Yeah, I don't do the drama, guys. It's just the drama is just boring to me.
When I listen to your explanation, like what happens, like if
just Google Corridor Crew
has to be observed. So when a plane vanishes like
UFO videos, you'll find it. It's right at the top. They tried to debunk the real videos.
Had to go somewhere. Where did it go?
No, that's exactly it, man. So E equals MC squared, right? So that's why it's not cloaking, because we see the smoke trail stop, right? If it was cloaking, we'd still see the smoke trail behind it. It can't be annihilation, because E equals MC squared. If it gets annihilated, then we would see a lot more energy, right? It's a nuke. Yeah, exactly. Maybe a bigger nuke because it's 777. So it would be destroying part of the planet. So that's why it has to be, according to science at least, as we know it right now, it has to be some form of teleportation. It has to be going somewhere else, as long as those videos are real. That means that mass has to go somewhere. So that's why we've been digging into that side of it, talking to physicists, engineers, people who are doing engineering experiments to try to prove that they can create gravitational waves. And that's why I created my podcast, is that I want to understand that side. That's the hardest for me to understand and wrap my brain around, right? I can understand the double slit experiment. I've seen it, I've watched it. I've actually even done the experiment in real life when I was in high school. But I want to understand, okay, how can we do this to a macroscopic object? How do we do this to a 777? Because to me, that's basically magic. And if that's real, that shatters my understanding previously of really our entire reality. Is that, to me now we live in a simulation where essentially magic can exist. I mean, teleporting a 777, having it seemingly revert to some kind of wave function where it can just be moved and set down somewhere. I would recommend listening to my interview with Bob Grenier and Salvatore Pais. They're a little bit long, 2 to 3 hours, but man, they are very smart, and I am not at their level at that yet. But the last thing I will say is that from the people I've talked to, the secret seems to be in electrical engineering. If that's the area of science you want to get into with this kind of quantum stuff, advanced scientific propulsion, electrical engineering is the place to be. It all has to do with currents and creating room temperature superconductors and having these fields get kind of trapped around toroids and other unusual shapes that can trap these fields. Very interesting stuff that I had never considered or thought about before.
Hey, if you want to DM me, I'll tell you how I think that happens. I'm actually putting a DARPA proposal together because I created an anti-gravity generator and I turned it on and it got about a half a pound lighter.
There you
so
go.
I try to advise people about this. If you guys invent something like this or an engine that runs on water, just keep it to yourself. You know what I mean?
No, man, you got to tell everybody. Like,
I don't know.
You might get a knock on the door, man.
Because, like, you know, because you don't want anybody. Because just like you're talking about, like that person said, "I'm not feeling suicidal." I can't tell you how many people, even Ross Coulthard said, "Hey,
thanks, Shinobi. Thanks,
be
everybody.
Careful." And so that's why
I don't think the orbs are acting like eyes.
It's all out on my podcast.
If you're not familiar with the double slit experiment,
it's not like you can shut me up by, you know, just like, you know, send somebody to the house. You know, so I mean, yeah.
Sweet. Well, thank you, Sonic. We're gonna get over to That's Weird now. Great points, and I hope you guys hit it up in the DM.
Oh, just FYI, like Sonic is he's a structural engineer. He's like a genius little guy, right? And he's like a retired Army JAG, so he's pretty dope. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, this was the one I used to watch.
Hey, and Sonic, to that point, same reason that Eric Weinstein.
I like this one because this really explains it, right? You shoot through one, and what are you going to get on the other side? One slit, right?
For publishing, so he couldn't get.
So if you shoot through two, what should you get? Two slits, right? This is what we would expect.
Yeah, he published it.
That's what you'd expect. But what really happens?
But anyway, it's funny. I got to this thing, Ashton. Tons of credit, dude. I got to this thing with Project Unity's video.
Instead, we get a wave pattern like this.
Old or new to this case? It feels like old in some ways.
For some reason, when you shoot through two slits, it creates a wave pattern like this.
When I followed you, and I fell down a rabbit hole since then. Your video with Salvador Payas was great, but I really liked the Bob Greenier one. That really clicked.
Yeah, me too, man. Bob Greenier one clicked.
After that, I went back and watched Jesse Michaels' video with Hal Puthoff and Eric Weinstein, and that's where what Sonic was just saying.
So it creates the wave pattern. Now, what happens if we watch, though?
And really, what Bob Greenier was saying all kind of clicked together. Hal Puthoff.
So if we put an observer here to watch and try to figure out which one it goes through,
what's in the
then
black
what happens?
Programs is material science.
The pattern changes.
That's what's been going on.
If you observe it,
clearly says it right there.
The pattern changes.
It says it within the video. I've got 2 patents and a company forming around. We think the way he says it is topological physics.
The act of observing breaks down the wave function. If you go back and watch
Jesse Michaels' video with Hal Puthoff and Eric Weinstein, watch the first 30 minutes of it.
Salvatore Payas doesn't like Eric Weinstein.
Of these videos.
Anyway, check out Double Slit if you want to know how this all works.
The videos are super compelling.
Yeah, observation changes the wave function pretty insane.
And
it breaks it down.
The debunking part, which strikes me so weird, is that it's the very end. And they're like, oh, it's a 90s video game image. Well, wouldn't that be a great way to cover up what actually happened with just a 90s video game image for a frame or two or whatever else?
TJ.
If the rest of the video was perfect, but then just that one spot is off, I mean, and Mick West is the one pointing it out.
It's a great smear. It's a great headline smear. That's the easiest way to write it off. Oh, it's a video game graphic? Of course. I'm
getting tired. We're going to have to go to sleep here soon. This has been like, what, 3 hours sitting in here?
Exactly.
That's
so ridiculous.
They just salted that very end piece. And that's what's so interesting is that that's what's being debunked. I don't even care. What I'm really
I appreciate it. Sherry, Jimmy, James, everybody in the chat. Thank you guys. Greatly appreciate you guys being around here.
It made me understand Eric Weinstein, who I've listened to and been following since 2016. And it's super hard to follow him, but I love trying to figure it out. Bob Greenier.
He does that on purpose.
I agree, and I fall for it. I dig it. But listening to Bob Greenier talk about it, and then going back and listening to
about living in the
Hal
simulation.
Puthoff and Eric do a little dance. If you watch, and if you look at my Twitter, I kind of put it out there.
Definitely check out Bob Greenier. It's pretty spicy. He's good.
Videos, because I think the science side of this needs to go. It's scientifically, it's possible, because what Eric says and what Hal agrees with, it's not rewriting general relativity.
Make sure you guys like the stream. I don't know what that does, but
GR
let's do that.
Into the next phase. GR still works, but this is the next phase. And Hal says,
Is that kind of related? He said like something.
As soon as you snap a picture, what's
kind of
happening, you
here,
see
right?
one
Is
state.
It's kind of
we're not really sure. No one can really adequately explain the double slit experiment.
About extra spatial dimensions.
I think that the best explanation of double slit experiment is the universe is aware of itself
what we can see
somehow
right in front of us.
Faster
What's
than the
really
speed of light.
hard, or damn near impossible, is to think
this
about
is how we can use quantum teleportation. Quantum teleportation is also known as quantum entanglement
in his research, or what he was
and
talking
non-locality.
Exploring those ideas with Joe Rogan, I think. But yeah, thanks. That's weird. We got some more hands up. I know that Red's probably got to wrap this up. I don't even know what time it is on the East Coast right now. So who's next? Was it Fletcher?
1 a.m.
Wi-Fi producers fell for a debunk.
Fletcher, then Joe.
Probably. A lot of people fell for the debunk, man.
All right,
There's
so
a lot of faith in a lot of people.
One of the things I want to say about this UFO space is like really esoteric. You know, the only information comes from networking with each other. There's not really anywhere else to get it other than just bits and pieces here and there, and it's really easy. Also, there's more disagreement in this kind of field than I've seen in almost anything else. So
who's this? Fletcher.
You know, I think that's just part of this whole thing. One of the things that I would like to see is, I don't know, and maybe it's already been done, but get another
really
independent.
So some people actually argue they could be in superposition, like they could literally do what they do, I guess, in the show Manifest
and all that other stuff. Get a
I still like Wi-Fi's. I don't
hacker, a really, really good one that can dive into the code of this video and find out exactly like what background noise is going on. And
thank you guys though for being here.
What exactly has been done to it? You know,
is
maybe
Project Unity in here? I don't think so.
You know, to the you know, that crew who analyzed it, maybe part of the stuff that they were seeing that wasn't they said could be CGI, that could just be part of the AI system of the camera. Because you buy a new camera these days, you know, even your phone, you take a picture of it, and your phone does some tweaks to it right after you take the picture. So it could just be part of that. The main thing for me is that this kind of falls in line with everybody else that's been talking about all this stuff. Government whistleblowers,
is TJ in here?
Anonymous or non-anonymous.
Where is this analysis going?
Other dimensions.
Robo, good question. The analysis is going.
You know, backing reverse engineered government.
Somebody asked that earlier. TJ wondered like why I'm doing this. Like, as if I'm trying to make a TV show out of this.
Other really credible people.
We're trying to get the truth out.
That's
the way
my
we do that
biggest
is we get it to as
from
many
it.
people as
I'm
possible
not a physicist
until we force an answer from
just
the media and
objectively
government.
Analyzing. I think it falls in line with everything else that's going on. So, I mean, if you're going to just write this off as nothing, you kind of have to write everything else off because it falls in line with all the same conversations. That's pretty much all I got.
No, thanks, man. And I don't think you're the only one who thinks that.
Okay, so we'll get to Jotun, then Robit, then Carlos, then end with Zile.
Yeah, the space was healthy. I mean, this was good.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, I'll try to go quick. This is probably more for Ashton. So I was listening to the Danny Jones podcast today, and when they went to the part where they were showing the video, the VFX guy debunk, they kept talking about the cameras and how the cameras work. But as far as I know, all the camera tech on the MQ-1 drone or the satellites, it's all classified. It's all classified technology, right? So how can we compare that to the civilian, the technology that we have on the civilian side and say that, oh, it should act that way? To me, this is not a one-on-one because the thermal camera on the MQ-1 is probably far better, or it can catch more information than we can with anything that we have on the civilian side. They were saying, oh, you can't see the smoke on this thermal camera, but what tells us that that the MQ-1 camera cannot see smoke on it? So I don't know, Ashton, if you went over that point. Yeah.
No, I mean, I did mention that, like, you know, what we were looking at there was not a thermal camera. It's an electro IR camera, multispectral targeting camera that had a thermal layer added over the top, which I think they missed. And I don't know, we're in a good spot, so I don't really want to dunk on any more people or anything like that. But the reality, I think, is that if people are going to try to put a debunk out there, like, at least look through the evidence beforehand, right? A lot of the stuff that was mentioned on there, the reason why during that podcast I was taking notes in the middle is because I already heard everything. So I think that people should go out there and look at the evidence. If they want to try to debunk it, I've been pretty clear that people should go and attack the evidence, not attack me. I mean, it's all out there pinned to my profile.
I mean, you are a fraud, though, so I mean, it's hard not.
All right,
to,
Carlos, I try to give you a chance, but
yeah, just ban him. Just ban him. Some people have mental issues. You got to leave them be. You know, it's disturbing. But yeah, so you know, I think that like I was saying, that the cameras, you got to look into what the cameras are, right? And a lot of it too is classified. So interestingly enough, though, a lot of what we revealed has come from the debunking side of it. Like people would claim that, oh well, the satellite should be moving faster, right? And then we find out this whole video about Sibbers that's just available out there on Lockheed Martin, and it explains everything about it. And it actually is corroborated then by the fact that we have this low frame rate, 6 frames per second, because what we're looking at isn't the satellite looking down. And we know too, because we see the coordinates moves, which would be pretty much what we would expect from a Google Earth, right? When we look at the coordinates. If you're just looking at a satellite looking down that's moving, you're probably not going to be looking at the coordinates. You don't need that because you're just looking at wherever the satellite's looking, right? But if you're moving it around, that's essentially telling us that we're not moving the satellite around. So what's happening is we're looking at a Google Earth that's taking satellite data from all over the world all the time. And that's why I'm really appreciative of Kim.com posting that and reposting that. I think that we were able to uncover stuff and technology that most people weren't even aware of, you know, so that's part of the most interesting thing about this case in my mind.
Very true. I don't want to give this away. First of all, I think that was very well
thank you, Jordan Perez. You're bringing some
the chat
compelling data to the table, Ashton. We appreciate your dedication to the subject. Learning something new every day.
So obviously, I mean, you posted a video about, I don't even want to give it credit, but you posted a video about that global network of satellites.
Let's not dunk on Julian. He was nice at the end.
Talk about flat Earth.
Well, that's kind of important too, because that's messaging we see coming from Matt Ford and Bangkok Ford. So that's totally part of their like smear campaign, is to tie him as a flat earther. Yeah. So Ashton, it's like bring it up, but also don't bring it up, but also like.
Sorry, what were you saying, Tupa?
I'm sorry. Yes or no, flat Earth? What's going on?
I'm not a flat earther. I believe in round Earth.
Okay. I just had to. I mean, obviously, we had. But like, said, I did not know that though, Red.
Like Red Panda said, though, I mean, a lot of this is to try to discredit my position and make me seem like some sort of woo-woo type person, right? Which is, you know, part of the reason why I don't dig into anything esoteric. It's not that I want to hate on esoteric stuff, like psychic stuff, remote viewing. It's just that you can see already how the attacks form, right? They're looking for an angle to try to discredit me from whatever they can do, right? I even heard like the Russian propaganda thing come from one of the more prominent UFO accounts that have been against me. It's like, dude, I have a literal security clearance for the U.S. government. I'm not a Russian spy, and this is not Russian propaganda. I think if anything, you want to call me king of the normies, I'll take that. I'll take that whatever characterization.
Hell yeah. So then Robit and then Zelia, and then we'll close it out.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Those quickly. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jordan Perez, again.
Yeah, okay.
Appreciate
hey, man.
those.
Thanks
That's awesome.
Hey, Ashton. Hey, I know we were chatting last time.
We're actually finally talking about normal
stuff. I won't get too heavy in the questions. But yeah, I'm with you, man. You know, that stuff that you're bringing up, sure, it does fit right in.
I'm showing videos of satellites on Earth that people are trying to
somebody doesn't like about it, but no, it kind of fits the bill because, you know, I know that Flight 1 thing happened over 1C, and it lost radio contact and SATCOM. And it starts turning around, but, you know, why didn't it land? It started to go somewhere else, you know, and then it's going over some other ocean and it loses radar contact. And then somehow it tried to link up with SATCOM. So it disappeared for 3 minutes, you know, so maybe some military people's, you know, moved it out of there, or some UFO stuff moved it out of there, you know, like a teleport, because they did move it. But yeah, it was in trouble for quite a while. It's like they were attacking it, you know, once over one ocean and then again over the other ocean. Because it almost looked like that one of those orbs kind of it came so close to the bottom of the plane, maybe it ignited the lithium with all the energy that it has, you know, because it sort of looks like it almost bounced off it. And then there's a little puff of smoke in that video that you put out. So that's cool. That's real cool, Ashton. Yeah, so yeah, maybe on, you know, like, even the old guys like me that listen to Coast and stuff, you know, we've listened to it before, but yeah, this kind of just adds a whole new, you know, cherry on the top, right? So right on, man. Hey, thanks for all letting me come up.
Thanks, Robit. Appreciate that. Robit. And yeah, I'll be on Coast to Coast on Sunday morning. I guess I got the time wrong. I'll probably most of the updated thing. If you want to listen live, I think it's 3 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to be on with Richard Syrett. He's really good. I did a podcast with him. So I hope to not let you guys down and present some strong evidence there as well. So thanks a lot for listening, man.
Sweet. And then Zile, and then we'll get some last words from the panel. Zile?
Thanks. I'll just start with a comment and then the question. Ashton, you were talking about esoteric stuff and things like that. a lot of what we're dealing with is not actually esoteric. It is actual physics, time-space physics. It's the science of existence, and our science actually understands the beginning of it. And for me, I speak for myself. I don't deal in woo. What I talk about is actual physics. And there's somebody else called Lucius Labs. He also has produced books and YouTube videos explaining the physics
Alexei
of this.
Novitsky?
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
great. She's great.
So he has
Pete, you're
books
cracking
on
me
physics,
up, buddy.
and there are lots of others, and they probably don't hang around UFO Twitter for now obvious reasons.
I think my only issue I had with those guys' podcasts is like that's not how they treated other people. At least, and
Julian
I only found that out afterwards,
Ashton,
right?
Maybe if you can just summarize where to next, both within the interactions of what has been spoken about, and in general with the work that you're going to do, be it related to that missing flight or other things. That would be great to know. Thanks.
You can take it, Ashton, if you want to start.
Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate that, and I didn't mean to offend anybody. Like again, I'm not against the esoteric stuff. I think that if the double slit experiment's real, and essentially magic is pretty much real, if we can teleport something, then it's really hard to judge anyone in terms of any type of esoteric stuff, psychic readings, things like that. It's just a matter of I can't tie it to the case because you will have people attacking me over. I just can't leave there be any more avenues of attack. It's already big enough. It's already hard enough to believe in that front. In terms of what comes next, the purpose here is to try to make it self-evident, self-apparent. So I think the evidence is so strong that all we have to do is get it to enough people where then it becomes impossible to ignore, right? Right now, the media is ignoring it. As you see, it's getting bigger and bigger. We still have the #1 article on InfoWars for 2 days straight. Anonymous made a video that they posted out there that's pretty much just highlighting my work, et cetera, in general. But again, this isn't about me. I never wanted it to be about me. If other people want to take the evidence, run with it, come with their own stories, please do. The more people that do, the less heat is on me. I don't mind that at all. So yeah, that's really what the purpose of this is. And maybe one day we will make a documentary. I would love to have a documentary because I think the point of that is that we can make one way better than the Netflix one that's out there. I just think it's crap. I'm just going to shit on it. And I think that as well that our documentary will get to a bunch of people, and I think it'll resonate with people, and people will enjoy it. I have a lot of people tell me that I would never listen to something for 2 hours, but when I listen to you talk about the evidence, they can get through the whole thing, which I think is some of the highest praise I can get. So that's my final thoughts. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I think
I probably shouldn't have sworn there. That's going to get me
this has been
YouTube
beaten like a dog in this entire space here, but the official story in huge air quotes that we've gotten about this thing is obviously total bullshit. And something crazy happened here. What, I guess, is still up for debate. And I've
never given up, man.
Love to get to the bottom of that.
Never given up. The new headset's more comfortable.
It's 9-10 years
a little
ago
bit.
now, but in a weird
just got
way,
these. They're kind of fat though.
It's not like the JFK assassination. It's so many years ago. People are dead. Like the people around this are alive today, so it's fascinating.
Yeah, but
as far as
the issue I had with those podcasts is they just didn't come into it with an open mind.
I personally haven't made any plans for that. I'm kind of focused on getting to my next episodes with stuff and staying up to date with the case. But if there's an opportunity that presents itself,
what is it about this that makes people so angry?
Headway
right?
Via the podcast where we can look through evidence, and I think it's a good move to do it, and maybe we'll do something.
TJ.
I'd love to see Ashton and Lynn on
it.
Julian Dory one day. I feel like that would solve all the problems, and that's how you get disclosure. But I know both of you guys have podcasts. Do you have any guests you're excited for coming up? You want to talk about?
Oh yeah, I have Brian. I have Brian Keating coming on next week. Great guy. Just recorded with him, so that was a really good sit down. I got.
Did you guys touch this? I'd love to hear his take on these videos.
No, because we did not get to that. We did get to some UFO stuff, but we didn't talk any MH370, unfortunately. Got Lawrence Krauss coming in. I have Nick Pope
Pretty
coming
sure Julian
in.
won't be talking about MH370, but we'll
UFO
see.
UFO desk in Britain. I got Paul Rosalie.
I also
Ryan
do not
Tate
like
back.
being a schism in the community.
A lot of good people coming
I think that's just what happens when the evidence is this strong.
Hell yeah, Ashton.
Oh yeah, so this Sunday I got a doubleheader. I'm going to be on that coast to coast early in the morning, and then at 1 p.m. Eastern, I've got Dave Rossi, who is going to talk about advanced propulsion and some of the experiments that he's been doing, and we're going to talk about the videos and what he thinks is going on in the videos, because I think that I've talked to a lot of different engineers and physicists, and everybody's ideas are very closely aligned, but it feels like everybody's got their own kind of take on it. And so that's why I'm trying to reach out to a bunch of different people, and so I can understand it in totality. So yeah, check that out at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Hell yeah. And let's get some hearts in the chat from everyone for Ashton and Julian and Danny, who was here earlier. Julian, I feel like we kind of got on a bad foot because of that post, but I saw so many people quoting your thing who I know hadn't ever quoted you before. And
Dude,
I do think there were some elements here.
Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, we either have to prove how the video is made, or we have
to.
We honestly have to get Edward Lynn. Is really the only way. We're not going to be able to prove where the video went.
You know, we're all getting influenced by certain things, and we just got to be aware of that shit. So, hell yeah, thanks for being here, guys. Tupa, Logan, you guys want to say anything to close it out?
I'll make some closing words before we shut down the stream here.
Thank you,
This
Red,
was a good space.
For hosting for this.
This was a good one. 250 people, 142 messages in the chat.
The fact that we have people with the caliber of Julian and Danny in here at all addressing this with this.
Yeah, that was
this community,
Star Slinger.
The kind of stuff that we could do.
Once he finishes here, I'll talk.
Out in real time. It's
hearts
just
in
a
the
lot
chat
better.
for TJ.
Things are going to happen. I mean, shit.
I'm going to throw a heart in the chat for TJ, guys.
I think it just speaks to everyone's integrity. Ashton too, right? To come
How do you change the color?
And
how do you change the color?
Everybody got to learn who everybody is. And
how do you change the
takeaway is,
I don't get it.
Follow everybody, bro. Like the research done on this panel, the stuff.
Yeah, legendary stream. This was a good one, guys.
Crazy.
Glad you guys enjoyed this.
And definitely
glad you guys joined my commentary, TJ. No personal feeling, no hard feelings, TJ. We love you.
So check out his YouTube
Julian,
channel,
Danny. No
and
hard
I want to say, I
feelings
think
either.
Ashton and Julian,
I like you guys.
They're on
I have
no
nothing against you.
Maybe
just want to let you know.
I don't know.
Sorry
maybe
for
I'm just
clowning on you guys during this.
Not
my intention.
A little too much, but I think it helped.
No, it's not my intention to divide. You know, I just try to break things down with humor. So hope you guys don't take it personally.
It's good. It's good to talk things out. It's
same with Corridor Crew as well. Nothing personal against you guys.
The keyboards like
I hope you guys can find, the person that made these videos, and put it all.
Cool, guys. Well, I guess I'm going to close out the space. Thanks everyone for being here. Hopefully, check out everyone's stuff. Check out Julian's stuff.
Okay, we're going to close out of there. And then, so yeah, thank you guys everybody for being in here tonight, talking about all this. We do have a big podcast on Sunday. Tomorrow's gonna be a very, very busy day, guys. We're going to be probably trying to get this video pushed out, which I was supposed to do today, but I had some emergency stuff happen. Had a flat tire that I had to take care of. Had to cancel a podcast. Spent 3 hours with the Alien Addict guys. We sat and we watched the Danny Jones podcast in reaction to that, and then you just saw what we just did here for the last few hours as well, going through all this. And it was a long day. So tomorrow we will get back to some content. Probably I will most likely be streaming, and we're going to be preparing for the interview, and yeah, digging into the science. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks everybody who's been joining recently. If you want to get caught up on what's going on, you can find the evidence link at the top of my Twitter profile here. Alternatively, you can dig into some of the recent interviews. I think that if you want to just hear about the drama side of it, Alien Addict and I had a good discussion that wasn't really about digging into the videos. It was about talking about what's been going on and everything. This is a good one to listen to. And then if you want to get into the science, the story of it, what's the best one to listen to, chat? Probably At the Mic with Keith. This one was really good if you want to get caught up recently. So you can listen to my my podcasts. I'm also going to be publishing the list of all the podcasts for the hardcores that are out there that want to listen to everything. I mean, there's a lot. You can see we've had a lot going on. So thanks everybody. Thanks all my bots out there. Yeah, that have been fighting, bringing the word out there. Let everybody know about the videos. Be courteous to people. A lot of people are going to have a hard time believing in the videos. So we can't attack them if they don't believe in the videos. Let's just try to reach the people who are open-minded, who are willing to look at the evidence. And so, yeah, I think that's it, everybody. Have a great night. We will talk tomorrow. Peace, everybody. If I can figure out how to close the stream.